Chapter 1986. The moment Xiaochen said that, the crowd on the flower-filled island burst into an uproar. To think that Xiaochen wanted to fight one against two. One of them was even a Golden Dragon Palace expert. Is my hearing bad? Did I hear wrong? If Yuan Shi or the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao had said this, it would have been fine. After all, they were cultivators with divine dragon bloodlines. However, Xiaochen was a Heaven Dragon Palace Heaven-class core disciple with a mixed-blood dragon bloodline. Where did he get his confidence from? Even Yuan Shi could not help feeling slightly stunned. He asked sullenly, "Xiaochen, do you know what you are saying?" Xiaochen nodded and said, "I am very clear. Your Silver Dragon Palace's Su Fuguan wants to fight me, and the Golden Dragon Palace's Li Feng wants to seek trouble for me as well. We can deal with them together to avoid trouble. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?" The others were stunned when they heard that. There was nothing wrong with Xiaochen's words. Since the trouble came together, it would be best to deal with it together. Everyone would think that way. However, the problem was that Xiaochen was a Heaven Dragon Palace disciple, just a mixed-blood dragon. Of course, everyone only thought this in their hearts and would not say it out loud. However, everyone looked at Xiaochen like he was a madman. Actually, there was no need to say anything to know what they were thinking. Li Feng said coldly, "The Heaven Dragon Palace does not need the help of the other palaces when it comes to its matters." Su Fuguan felt somewhat upset at Xiaochen's words. He retorted, "I am challenging this fellow, and I do not need you to interfere. This is the Silver Dragon Palace, not your Golden Dragon Palace. If there is anything, wait until after I fight with him." Yuan Shi felt a headache coming on. He impatiently waved his hand and said, "Cut the crap. Come at me together. Let me see how strong the person who comprehended the Supreme Dragon Fist is." Yuan Shi's tone contained some displeasure. This displeasure stemmed from Lu Ruyun being too close to Xiaochen, upsetting Yuan Shi. Furthermore, Xiaochen's attitude made him feel disdain. Since Yuan Shi spoke, Li Feng and Su Fuguan hesitated for a moment before leaping onto the water at the same time. For Li Feng, he only needed to retrieve the dragon-patterned battle suit and report to Qin Mu. Although he did not feel good about teaming up with Su Fuguan, it was better to end the battle quickly. As for Su Fuguan, he could sense his eldest senior brother's displeasure. He knew that his nagging had angered the other party, so he couldn't help but look at Xiaochen with even more hatred. Right now, there was nothing much to think about. The two of them just had to work together and beat up Xiaochen to vent their anger. When the Heavenly Dragon Palace's people saw such a lineup, they all felt somewhat worried for Xiaochen. Li Luo looked at Xiaochen. "Junior brother Xiaochen, isn't this a little too risky?" Bai Yunfeng lowered his voice and said, "I think so too. We need to be cautious." Xiaochen looked up at Bai Yunfeng and said, "When I fought you, I only used 50% of my strength." Bai Yunfeng was shocked. Just 50% of his strength was enough to make him unable to retaliate? Xiaochen gently pushed off with his feet and landed on Crescent Moon Lake. Then he quietly looked at the Silver Dragon Palace's Su Fuguan and the Golden Dragon Palace's Li Feng. "Senior brother, beat him to death." Qin Outyan roared as he watched from the side. Li Feng appeared displeased, but he did not hesitate. He instantly moved. Li Feng was the kind of person who would not underestimate any opponent. When he attacked, he would show no mercy. The instant Li Feng moved, the Golden Dragon's furious roar reverberated in the surroundings. The lake water exploded and poured down like a torrential rain. When Li Feng punched, a golden dragon image coiled around his arm. Then, a golden disc materialized in front of his clenched fist. The golden disc was a complex and profound formation diagram. Li Feng made up his mind. Li Feng made up his mind, and a terrifying fist light burst out of the disc. In the blink of an eye, the fist light elongated and flew towards where Xiaochen stood. Xiaochen's figure flashed, easily dodging. The lake water where Xiaochen stood instantly evaporated, filling the air with steam. "Watch out for my sword." Su Fuguan had been waiting for a long time already. The moment Xiaochen moved, he moved as well. Su Fuguan's figure turned into a ghostly sword image, piercing through the rain. Not a single drop of water touched him as he stabbed at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen could not dodge. He squinted and focused his gaze on the tip of the sword. The thunder great Dao silently spread out. The sword before Xiao Chen could not just look at its surface. He also had to look at the hidden sword move. Ding. Just as the tip of the sword was about to touch Xiao Chen flicked his finger and tapped the sword in the time it took for a spark to fly. A melodious sword hum rang out, echoing in the surroundings. The hazy sword intent hummed endlessly. Boom. In the next moment, Su Fuguan's sword move slashed out. The rain that filled the sky suddenly changed, turning into boundless sword chi that shot towards Xiao Chen. However, the thunder great Dao that Xiao Chen silently laid out also activated at the right time. Thunder flattened the sky, suppressing the sword hum. Amidst the terrifying roar of thunder, the rain of swords exploded into pieces, clanging non-stop. Su Fuguan revealed a surprised expression. He had not expected Xiao Chen to shatter his sword moves with just the thunder great Dao. Just as he was about to retreat, he realized that Xiao Chen's fist aura seemed to have accurately calculated the direction of his retreat. 100 cauldron force gathered in the tip of his fist. The strong pressure nearly suffocated him. His figure flashed, and he quickly changed his position. Boom! 100 cauldron force exploded, and the shock wave forced Xiao Chen's illusory figure back. Unhurriedly, Xiao Chen threw another punch. At such a close distance, the sword in his hand was useless. Su Fuguan was a little angry. "You're going too far." His left hand formed a seal, and a dazzling sword light burst out to meet Xiao Chen's fist light. Bang! The fist radiance and the sword radiance were evenly matched. Su Fuguan was forced back 100 meters. Just when he was about to heave a sigh of relief, he was shocked to discover that the sword radiance was not as powerful as before. The horrifying fist light before Su Fuguan seemed to follow him like a shadow, charging over again. Xiao Chen predicted every step Su Fuguan took, preventing him from escaping. "Senior brother Su." Several Silver Dragon Palace disciples were flabbergasted. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen was so strong. Within 2 or 3 moves, he pressured Su Fuguan to the point of suffocation. Now he was in danger. At the critical moment, a calm figure appeared in front of Su Fuguan. Seeing the fist light containing 100 cauldron force and a mountain-like pressure, this figure calmly threw a punch, clashing with it. Bang! The two fists clashed. The two did not move back at all, and the shock waves spread out. Tens of thousands of water pillars burst out of Crescent Moon Lake, which was as large as a medium-sized city and stretched as far as the eye could see. The surface of the water under their feet sank. In a clash of fist force, aside from veritable essence energy and vital chi, there was also their auras and great Dao. While it looked like the two were fighting in a small area, in reality, the shockwaves of the battle already covered the entire Crescent Moon Lake. From top to bottom, it was a clash of auras. Veritable essence energy, will, mental state, all materialized in their auras. Whoever revealed an opening first would be the unlucky one. The two had a rather perfect grasp of their auras. They were practically equal, making it hard to find an opening. Hence, a rather strange scene appeared on this Crescent Moon Lake. Xiao Chen and Li Feng's strange fists clashed on the lake's surface. Neither moved at all. As their gazes clashed, sparks danced. What a strong opponent. However, only I can win. Li Feng shouted in his heart, and golden dragon roars erupted from his body. The golden divine dragon's dragon might spread out behind him, illuminating the entire night sky. The golden divine dragon's dragon might dazzled everyone. When everyone felt the golden divine dragon's dragon might, they all trembled. The golden divine dragon was the noblest of the 6-colored divine dragons. Naturally, its dragon might was stronger than that of the other 5-colored divine dragons. As for mixed blood dragons, that went without saying. Unexpectedly, Xiao Chen did not immediately lose before this nearly solid golden divine dragon's dragon might. He showed a calm expression, even more relaxed than the people on the flower-filled island. The heaven dragon's mysteries. Xiao Jinyu, Li Luo, and the others familiar with Xiao Chen were greatly startled. At the same time they felt proud. It turned out that the Heaven Dragon's mysteries were truly strong. Xiaochen did not fear the Golden Divine Dragon's dragon might at all. This was especially so for the mixed-blood dragon, Lu Feng. His eyes blazed with fervor. Can a mixed-blood dragon's dragon might be so strong? The one who found this the most unbearable was none other than Li Feng. His Golden Divine Dragon's dragon might was like a tall mountain, like the sea, even giving off the supreme might and pressure of a deity. However, Xiaochen, who faced Li Feng, was boundlessly ethereal, appearing and disappearing. Xiaochen was clearly right in front of Li Feng, but it seemed like he was beyond the 9 heavens. This scene startled by Yunfeng. He suddenly recalled what Xiaochen once asked him. How vast was the sky? One could jump out of the well but not out of one's heart. It was useless. When one looked at the sky with one's eyes, it would forever be unreachable. One could only feel one's own insignificance and helplessness. Looking at the sky with one's heart. By Yunfeng paled. In this instant of comprehension, he saw a mysterious phenomenon that others could not see. An incredibly colossal dragon image circled Crescent Moon Lake. The dragon head looked like it descended from the sky, hovering above Li Feng's head with its jaws open, looking like it would bite down at any moment. However, at this moment, Li Feng was still searching for Xiaochen's boundlessly ethereal and mysterious dragon might. By Yunfeng thought to himself, how am I going to find it? Li Feng was still conflicted with the clash of auras, searching for Xiaochen's openings on the battlefield. However, Xiaochen's heart had already leaped out of the battlefield. After a while, Li Feng only needed to show the slightest sign of weakness, and he would instantly lose. Bai Yunfeng thought about the horrifying strike that would erupt from Xiaochen's dragon might at that time, and he felt a chill. Watch out for the sword. However, just at this crucial moment, the forgotten Su Fuguan leaped out and swung his sword like a lone peak. It was like the clouds parting and the fog scattering, revealing a lone peak piercing the sky. This horrifying sword strike, which was waiting to be unleashed after storing up power, contained the mysteries of a lone peak. It gave off the boldness of breaking through the sky. Upon seeing this sword strike, the Heaven Dragon Palace's group could no longer sit still. Xiaochen! Lu Ruyun exclaimed. She felt some impulse to rush forward and save Xiaochen. The main reason was that no one expected Su Fuguan to launch this sword strike at the crucial moment of the clash of auras. Even the Silver Dragon Palace's people felt embarrassed. However, they all kept their mouths shut, acting like nothing had happened. Chapter 1987. Su Fuguan's sword had been accumulating power for a long time. It would not be an exaggeration to call it a killing move. Especially at this time, Xiaochen was in a dilemma. Once he retreated, his vital energy would be completely defeated. Li Feng's fist light would severely injure him in an instant, showing no mercy. Thinking about his current prestige, even the people on the Flower Island felt a little fearful. It was clear how terrifying the power he would erupt with would be. If he was hit by this sword, the consequences would be even worse. Both of their attacks landed on Xiaochen's body. It was possible that he would be crippled on the spot. Even if he didn't die, he would lose half his life. Everyone in the Heaven Dragon Hall felt their hearts in their throats. They all stood up, feeling incredibly nervous. Firmament's rage. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Xiaochen instantly executed Firmament's rage. His left hand turned into a claw and pushed out fiercely. He didn't seem angry, but he was powerful. When he pushed out his claw, it seemed like the entire night sky started to tremble. Every cultivator present felt a tremor that came from the bottom of their hearts. Su Fuguan's face was filled with shock. He had never expected that Xiaochen would be able to block the attack that he had been accumulating power for a long time. At that moment, he was prepared to draw his sword back, change his body, and strike again. However, he suddenly discovered that Xiaochen's claw contained a horrifying thunder great Dao and boundless saber chi, as well as the overwhelming rage of a great desolate Aeon ancestor dragon. What was even more despairing was that the aura in the palm had already firmly locked onto him. If he took a step back, Xiaochen would immediately turn his claws into palms. The boundless saber chi, the power of thunder, and the terrifying saber intent from the primordial ancestral dragon would instantly strike at him. There would be no chance for him to dodge. Xiaochen smiled coldly in his heart. He had long since expected this. Others might have forgotten about Su Fuguan, but Xiaochen had not. The other party's sword strike, which contained a Lonely Peak's mysteries, had been prepared for a long time. Wasn't it the same? He was accumulating power and waiting for the other party to take the bait. A strange scene immediately appeared on the calm lake. Xiaochen's fist and claw actually blocked Li Feng's and Su Fuguan's fist and sword at the same time. 1 against 2, he was not at a disadvantage at all. This, he actually blocked it. Everyone on the flowery island was stupefied. They did not dare to believe the scene before them. Everyone thought that Xiaochen would definitely lose, but he actually managed to block it. Not only did this sword not defeat Xiaochen, but it also allowed him to gain the upper hand. "I'll defeat you first." Xiaochen swept his gaze around and fixed it on Li Feng. Just when he found it strange, Li Feng's expression changed. The Heaven Dragon, which had always been elusive and boundless, could suddenly be captured clearly. His heart sank. This is bad. At this time, his momentum had already dropped a lot. If he continued to fight, he wouldn't have any advantage at all. Boom! The invisible dragon image above Li Feng's head ferociously opened its mouth and instantly tore apart Li Feng's golden dragon might. Blood leaked out of a corner of Li Feng's lips. In the next moment, Xiaochen's fist light landed mercilessly on Li Feng's body. A crisp sound rang out, and everyone could hear Li Feng's bones breaking. Then he went flying back. Fortunately, at the critical moment, a golden protective veritable essence energy shield formed on Li Feng's body, blocking most of the damage. Otherwise, this punch would have severely injured him. Right after Li Feng went flying, Su Fuguan's mind turned chaotic. He would be next. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Su Fuguan quickly made a decision and retreated. "You think you can run?" Xiaochen snorted coldly. Then, he turned his claw into a palm and threw a palm strike. Immediately, a colossal hand formed in the sky. The fingers were like sabers flickering with berserk electricity, carrying an ancestor dragon's rage that made the sky tremble. The hand struck Su Fuguan, who was in the air. Pa! Su Fuguan vomited a large mouthful of blood as he fell into the water. Wounds riddled Su Fuguan's body. The electric light and saber intent continued to wreak havoc. Su Fuguan's body twitched on the water. Clearly, his injuries were more severe than Li Feng's. At Crescent Moon Lake, the white-clad Xiaochen knocked back 2 people and stood upright with his hands behind his back. Xiaochen appeared calm, but he exuded might without being angry. A strong aura spread out, and his body seemed to radiate an even more dazzling light than the divine dragon cultivators. This fellow is really a mixed-blood dragon. A Silver Dragon Palace disciple exclaimed, unable to contain the shock in his heart. Junior brother Xiaochen won. The Heaven Dragon Palace's people rejoiced. Unexpectedly, Xiaochen could win so beautifully even when fighting 1 against 2. For many years, the Heaven Dragon Palace's cultivators had not felt so delighted. In this grand scene of 3 outer palaces gathering, Lu Feng defeated the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Tai. Then, Xiaochen defeated the Golden Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples and the Silver Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples. This matter would spread throughout the entire Dragon's Gate's outer palaces in less than 3 days. When? I haven't admitted defeat yet. Li Feng's expression turned extremely sullen. He had never thought that he would suffer such a great loss at the hands of a mixed-blood dragon. Li Feng had even used his life-saving trump card, the Dragon Mark. This could be said to be a great humiliation. Since his debut, none of the battles of various sizes had made him feel more sullen than this. Even when working with others, he still could not defeat a mixed-blood dragon. If Li Feng could not defeat Xiaochen today, he would become the new joke of the Dragon's Gate's outer palaces in less than 3 days. The pride of a golden dragon prevented Li Feng from accepting this humiliation. Su Fuguan, if you are not dead, then move for this old man. If you don't, I will kick you out. Li Feng glared at Su Fuguan with some disgust as he said coldly and angrily. Su Fuguan struggled to his feet. his expression extremely unsightly. He vomited a mouthful of blood and said, "Don't worry. This old man is not as weak as you think." Xiaoqun showed a somewhat grave expression. Earlier, he had been very relaxed when facing two people in their peak states. At this moment, he ruthlessly suppressed two people's sharpness. One of them was even severely injured. However, he appeared somewhat grave. The two people on the other side were already pushed to the edge of the cliff. The situation would probably not end well. The victor is already decided. Are you still going to continue fighting? Xiaoqun asked softly as he looked at the two. Nonsense. I did not admit defeat, so it is not considered a defeat? Do you think that my Golden Dragon Palace is not that good? If that is what you think, then you are gravely mistaken. Li Feng suddenly let out a roar. His eyes actually turned bloodshot. He had actually overdrawn his will of soul in an instant. Boom! A horrifying dragon might burst out of Li Feng's body, representing the mysteries of ultimate destruction. His body surged, and the golden fist radiance on his right hand was mixed with traces of mottled black dragon chi. Behind him, the image of a three-eyed golden divine dragon appeared. It was a holy venerable formed completely from the horrifying destruction profound mysteries. Oh no! This is the Golden Dragon Palace's forbidden technique. This is bad. To think that Li Feng executed this forbidden technique without caring about the consequences. This is a forbidden technique that represents the mysteries of destruction. Once it is executed, the entire Twin Moon Lake will be affected. The people on the flower-filled island appeared somewhat horrified. They felt that the place they were at was not safe. Sword art, star extermination. On the other side, the severely injured Su Fuguan seemed to be stimulated by something, executing the Silver Dragon Palace's forbidden sword art. Scatter! Yuan, she shouted, and the people on the flower-filled island soared into the air and scattered, not daring to remain. Only you can lose, Xiaoqun. World-destroying dragon fist. Li Feng roared. He punched out the Golden Dragon Palace's destruction forbidden technique infused with his will of soul. The entire night sky seemed to tear. That three-eyed golden dragon image flapped its wings, carrying the mysteries of destruction. Under Li Feng's fist light, the golden dragon image turned solid and launched itself at Xiaoqun. Star extermination. At this moment, Su Fuguan also unleashed his sword art at the same time. In that instant, the light from the sword in Li Feng's hand was like the most resplendent light of a star shattering, lighting up the entire night sky. The two forbidden techniques flew at Xiaoqun, shocking the entire Silver Dragon Palace. Several elders noticed this mysterious phenomenon. However, while they noticed it, by the time they arrived, the two forbidden techniques would have already flown at Xiaoqun. If Xiaoqun wanted to live, he still had to rely on himself. Just as everyone could not bear to watch Xiaoqun get buried in the two forbidden techniques, a bright moon and a blazing sun rose up behind Li Feng. A bright moon and a blazing sun rose behind Xiaoqun. In that instant, they stabilized Xiaoqun's suppressed aura. This was the soul energy mysterious phenomenon, sun and moon shining together. Saber! The two horrifying forbidden techniques were about to reach Xiaoqun. However, at this crucial moment, Xiaoqun remained incredibly calm. No one could see any panic in his eyes. Xiaoqun shouted, "Saber," and waved his right hand. The bright moon reflected in the smooth, mirror-like crescent moon on the other side of Twin Moon Lake. As Xiaoqun waved his hand, a beautiful saber flickering with a cold moonlight materialized before everyone's shocked gazes. Life bestowal spell, moon as saber. Resolving the mundane, Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal. Xiaoqun did not panic. He executed sun and moon shining together, materializing a bright moon saber and activating the 7-kill seal. Then, he executed an eternal and inextinguishable saber strike to resolve the mundane. All of this seemed slow, but in reality, it happened in just one breath. Xiaoqun completed all of this at nearly the same time. It was so fast that the others could not react. Under the clear sky and bright moon, the white-clad Xiaoqun used the moon as a saber to face the two forbidden techniques that scared everyone away. Then he executed an eternal and inextinguishable saber strike infused with sevenfold killing chi. Chapter 1988. Under the sun and moon shining together, Shaoqin used the moon as a saber. With his sevenfold killing chi, he executed a Buddhist sect forbidden saber technique, the Mahamaya abstinence violation saber technique, resolving the mundane. Boom! The ice-cold blade that was suffused with moonlight emitted an eternal and inextinguishable blade light that slashed the three-eyed golden divine dragon into pieces and shattered Su Fuguan's sword light that was comparable to the destruction of the stars. It had to be said that these two people's forbidden techniques were indeed terrifying. Shaoqin could even severely injure an initial perfection sovereign personage. He might even instantly kill his opponent when they were caught off guard. Anything was possible. Between the two, Li Feng's World Annihilation Dragon Fist was naturally stronger. His perfect fusion of the will of soul was much more exquisite than Su Fuguan's. If Shaoqin could not manifest the sun and moon shining together phenomenon, he would not be able to do so. Even with the Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal, he wouldn't dare say that he would be able to suppress this move even if his cultivation had improved tremendously. However, when the moon shining together phenomenon appeared that day, it stabilized the other party's soul pressure and blocked the invasion of the destruction intent. When the Buddhist sect's 7-kill seal was used in conjunction with the mortal heart, the effect was vastly different. An eternal and inextinguishable saber light swept out and shattered the two forbidden arts. To the Silver Dragon Palace, avoiding a terrifying destruction was a fortunate thing. As for Li Feng and Su Fuguan, they were in a miserable state. After killing the three-eyed golden dragon and the sword light, its power was greatly reduced. However, its momentum did not decrease as it slashed at the two of them, cutting them in half at the waist. His life aura was draining away at an extremely fast speed. At this point, it was impossible for Shaoqin to hold back. Otherwise, he might be the one to die under the forbidden technique. Senior brother Su. Li Feng, the Silver Dragon Palace disciple, and Qin Outyin cried out at the same time. Yuan, she said slowly, don't scream, you won't die. Indeed, Shaoqin would not die. The forbidden art had startled the heaven-class elders in the Silver Dragon Palace long ago. The instant the two were cut in half at the waist, he quickly rushed forward and stabilized their souls. He turned around and said that he would leave everything here to Yuan Shi. Then, he quickly left for the residence of the Supreme Elder of the sect. Generally speaking, once one reached the Holy Venerate realm, one's cultivation would increase. No matter how severe their injuries were, even if their vitality was completely gone, as long as they received treatment at the first possible moment, their souls wouldn't dissipate. Of course, you first needed to have a divine vein expert present, and you had to be in a large sect. Secondly, he couldn't waste too much time. Otherwise, even if a faux god came, they would not be able to revive a person from the dead, unless it was some legendary great desolate Aeon fruit that could revive the dead. When the heaven-class elders took the two away, all the disciples present heaved a sigh of relief. If someone died, then things would be a little troublesome. After all, they were all divine dragon cultivators with esteemed statuses. If they were not careful, they could easily implicate a bunch of big shots. So. When everyone landed back on the flower-filled island, fear flashed in their eyes as they looked at Shaoqin. Everyone thought that he would be blasted into pieces by the two forbidden techniques. Shaoqin actually counterattacked, using the moon as a blade to defeat two great forbidden techniques. It was hard to believe. Shaoqin, are you all right? Lu Ruyun asked softly as she walked over quietly. The others were worried about Li Feng and Su Fuguan, who had been chopped in half by Shaoqin. However, they did not know that Shaoqin, who was struck by the two great forbidden techniques, was not having it easy either. He could not remove the sword intent of the destruction mysteries and star extermination for a while. I'm fine. It's not a big problem. If I go back and recuperate, there should be no major problems. Lu Ruyun relaxed when she heard that. Then, she said, my father wants you to go to the White Dragon Palace again when you have time. He has something to discuss with you. Shaoqin shook his head and said, I won't talk to him. If he wants to talk, get him to come and look for me. Even though the White Dragon King had not truly injured Lu Riyue, Xiaochen found it hard to accept what the White Dragon King had done. If possible, it was best not to meet the White Dragon King. When Xiaochen was not as strong as the White Dragon King, he would not take the initiative to look for the White Dragon King. As for the White Dragon King looking for him, that was unavoidable. Lu Riyun frowned in silence, clearly confused. When Yuanxi saw this scene, he felt upset for some reason. Xiaochen, return my dragon-patterned battle suit. Qin Outyin shouted as he pushed aside a few people and arrived before Xiaochen. Xiaochen retorted coldly, I said it before. If Li Feng won, I would naturally return it to him. Since he lost, he can forget about it. Qin Outyan's expression turned sullen as he retorted angrily, Good. Save those words for my big brother. Qin Outyan felt embarrassed by Xiaochen. However, he was not a match for Xiaochen, so he threw out some harsh words before leaving in a flustered and exasperated manner. Brother Qin, are you not going to stay for a while longer? On account of Qin Mu's big brother, Yuanxi tried to get Qin Outyan to stay. Out of sight, out of mind. Qin Outyan left without even turning his head back. Clearly, Xiaochen had become a thorn in his side, and he couldn't do anything to him. Staying here any longer made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Xiaochen's big brother, Qin Mu, is the strongest person in the Dragon's Gate's outer palace. Although I am known as one of the 4 great experts of the outer palace, I have to admit that there is still a gap between me and his big brother. You'd better deliver the dragon-patterned battle suit yourself. You won't be able to use it anyway. Yuanxi turned to look at Xiaochen and said softly, I have my own plans. Xiaochen's answer was rather vague, and he didn't say much. Seeing this, Yuanxi let out a cold snort in his heart and ignored him, saying, Let's end the gathering here. There's no need to continue the sparring after such a huge incident. The earlier battle was equivalent to 3 great forbidden techniques clashing. The impact was indeed quite great. If they were to continue sparring and cause trouble, the gains would not make up for the losses. Wait a moment. Although the others felt some regret, they could understand. However, Lu Feng was not satisfied. He looked at Yuanxi and said, I came here to see how strong the sword Dao of one of the 4 great experts of the outer palace, Yuanxi, is. I'm not satisfied with just leaving like this. Yuanxi revealed a mocking smile. You are not qualified to exchange moves with me. He is qualified. However, I believe that in his current state he will not challenge me. Yuanxi pointed to Xiaochen, acknowledging Xiaochen's strength. Lu Feng revealed a stubborn expression as he continued, How will I know if I don't try? Yuanxi retorted indifferently, I do not wish to waste my time. I already made myself very clear. You are not a match for me. I have no interest in exchanging moves with you. Yuanxi's words were quite a blow to Xiaochen's confidence. Although Xiaochen did not agree with Yuanxi's arrogance, he had to admit that Lu Feng's chances of victory were slim. Of all the people present, even the White Dragon Palace's Ling Xiao, Xiaochen could tell how strong they were and felt confident of victory. Only Yuanxi was hard to say for sure. Send off the guests. Yuanxi waved his hand and called the disciples to send off the people present. You? Lu Feng was thoroughly enraged. He could not hold back and wanted to make a move. However, Xiaochen stepped forward and placed his right hand on Lu Feng's shoulder. Brother Yuan, just take it as Lu Feng seeking guidance from you. As a fellow dragon race cultivator, this request is not overboard, right? Xiaochen asked softly as he looked at Yuanxi. Yuanxi entered deep thought. In my opinion, mixed blood dragon cultivators cannot go far. You are an exception. I'll give you face today. Come, I accept your challenge. Lu Feng snorted coldly. When the others saw the situation, they quickly scattered. Yuanxi, who was known as one of the 4 great experts of the outer palace, had always been mysterious. After seeing the strength of the newcomer Xiaochen, the crowd felt curious about his strength. Being able to see Yuanxi make a move before leaving made this trip worthwhile. Lu Feng did not overthink. After some thought, he took 7 steps forward. With every step, the crowd could feel the sword intent on his body burning like a blazing fire. The sword intent was so strong that it moved everyone's expression. After 7 steps, the hundreds of flowers on the island of flowers bloomed as if spring had arrived. Petals filled the air and soared into the air at the same time. At this 7th step, Lu Feng's hand grasped his sword hilt. When the hundreds of flowers bloomed and the flowers were at their peak, he raised his sword technique to its peak. "Back off, Yuan," she shouted coldly, and a desolate sword intent spread out. A cold wind blew. "When autumn arrives on the 8th day of the 9th month, I will bloom and kill all the other flowers." With Yuan Shi's shout, the hundreds of flowers withered. The petals dancing in the air instantly withered. Only the most beautiful and aloof flower monarch remained on the entire island of flowers, Yuan Shi himself. Pussy-eyed, Lu Feng vomited a mouthful of blood and was forced to loosen his grip on his sword hilt. He staggered backward, nearly falling over. Not only was his sword aura destroyed, but his mind was also assaulted by Yuan Shi's sword intent. Lu Feng was severely injured. Compared to his injuries, what made him feel even sadder was that this was the result of his stubbornness to fight. He was defeated before he could even draw his sword in front of his opponent. Furthermore, Lu Feng had not underestimated Yuan Shi at all and had already used his full power. He simply could not accept this. Lu Feng roared, showing a pained expression. He felt very sullen in his heart. Ignoring the obstruction of the Heaven Dragon Palace's people, he ran away with a sullen expression. "You should not have given him a chance to fight. His life is ruined. I hope you will not regret it." Yuan Shi showed a calm expression as he looked at Xiao Qin meaningfully. Xiao Qin had already turned around and stopped. He said, "I only gave him a chance to lose. Don't underestimate the resilience of the Heaven Dragon Palace's disciples. If he defeats you one day because of this, I hope you will not regret it." When Yuan Shi heard that, he revealed a disdainful smile. "I will regret it." Chapter 1989. After leaving the Silver Dragon Palace, Bai Yunfeng and the others immediately spread out, searching for Lu Feng, who had run off somewhere. Soon, a few people from the White Dragon Palace came out. Xiao Qin nodded slightly and greeted these people. Lu Ruyun came over and said, "Xiao Qin, do you really not intend to go to the White Dragon Palace? I feel that you and my father seem to have some misunderstanding. But misunderstandings have to be resolved. Isn't it better to talk to each other?" When Xiao Qin heard this, he looked at Lu Ruyun's face. Suddenly he understood. He smiled and said, "Actually, your father did not invite me, right?" A flustered expression appeared on Lu Ruyun's exquisite face. Then she pretended to be calm and said, "Of course not. There was an invitation." "All right, there was no invitation. However, if I invite you to the White Dragon Palace to play, that should be fine, right? If you go to Ancestor Dragon City in the future, you will not have many chances to come back." Xiao Qin sighed in his heart. This girl had no idea what kind of irreconcilable conflict existed between him and her father. Unless the other party could help Lu Ruyun recover her memories, Lu Ruyun was the entire White Dragon race's hope and hope for the fight to become the Dragon Emperor. Even if Lu Ruyun did not succeed in obtaining the Dragon Emperor position, given her talent and strength, she could allow the White Dragon race to continue flourishing. Within the White Dragon clan, there was no more suitable successor than her. If he helped her recover her memory, then everything he had done before would be a complete waste. If not for some misgivings, the other party might have already killed him in the ancient city. Xiao Qin said softly, "There will be a chance. In the future, when we go to Ancestor Dragon City, we will have a chance to meet again." Lu Ruyun frowned and sighed. "All right." When Xiao Qin saw her pitiful appearance, he was amused. His tone became much warmer as he said, "It is indeed boring to always stay in the White Dragon Palace. Although I cannot go to the White Dragon Palace, you can come to the Heaven Dragon Palace to look for me if you have the opportunity." Lu Ruyun smiled and said, "That's true. Why am I so stupid? Senior Sister Lu, we should go." The White Dragon Palace's group stood on a flying demonic pet and urged, "Then I'll leave first. By the way, take this." Lu Ruyun sorted out her emotions. Before she left, she handed Xiao Qin an exquisite brocade box. It was unknown what was inside. The magic pet soared into the clouds and flew further and further away, disappearing from Xiao Chen's sight. Xiao Chen's gaze fell on the brocade box. The workmanship of the box was exquisite, and its appearance was exquisite. It felt heavy in his hands. He didn't know what was inside. Xiao Chen, we've searched everywhere, but we didn't see junior brother Lu Feng. Bai Yunfeng and the others rushed back and looked at Xiao Chen anxiously. The relaxed expression on Xiao Chen's face disappeared. He sighed softly and said, "Let him calm down. He will come back once he has thought it through. Let's return to the sect first." The many heaven-class core disciples on the flower-filled island in the Silver Dragon Palace had not left yet. The battle between Xiao Chen and Su Fuguan against Li Feng still lingered in their minds, leaving a deep impression on them. As for the battle between their first senior brother and Lu Feng, they did not feel anything about it. They had long known of their first senior brother's strength. It was reasonable for him to defeat Lu Feng. "Senior brother Yuan, what rank do you think this Xiao Chen can rank in the entire Dragon's Gate's outer palace?" A disciple asked out of curiosity. Yuan Shi entered deep thought. After a while, he replied, "A conservative estimate is that he can enter the top 10. The others felt shocked, somewhat surprised that Yuan Shi would give Xiao Chen such a high evaluation. The top 10 of the outer palace. This was still a conservative estimate. It had already been more than 100 years since a Heaven Dragon Palace disciple reached such a height. In that case, can he enter the top 5? A disciple boldly asked. Actually, he wanted to say the top 4. Yuan Shi shook his head and said, "If that is all he is not strong enough to enter the top 5. However, there are still 2 months. It is hard to say." Xiao Chen, who was rushing back, did not know that the Silver Dragon Palace's Yuan Shi had such a high evaluation of him. The group returned much faster than when they came. In less than 10 days, they arrived at Heaven Dragon City. The moment they entered the city, someone recognized Xiao Chen's group. "It looks like the white-robed bladesman Xiao Chen and the others? It really is Xiao Chen. He looks exactly like the portrait." The news of Xiao Chen fighting 1 against 2 in the Silver Dragon Palace spread like wildfire throughout the various outer palaces of the Dragon's Gate. When the news reached the Heaven Dragon Palace, the entire sect burst into commotion. In the past, when the 3 outer palaces gathered, the Heaven Dragon Palace disciples were mostly onlookers, going through the motions. Occasionally, there would be some eye-catching people, but they would only win 1 match at most. However, this time, Xiao Chen fought 1 against 2, defeating the Silver Dragon Palace's Su Fuguan and the Golden Dragon Palace's Li Feng at the same time. Furthermore, when the 2 of them executed forbidden arts, Xiao Chen even defeated the other party, chopping them in half. This was something that even the Divine Dragon Palace's outer palace disciples found hard to accomplish. To think that the Heaven Dragon Palace's Xiao Chen did it. For many years, the mixed-blood dragon cultivators of the Heaven Dragon Palace had never felt so delighted. "Junior brother Xiao, it looks like you are famous now." After the group entered the Dragon City, they had to slow down due to the Dragon City's rules. As the group flew, they could see a sea of people chasing the demon blood vulture, just to catch a few more glances. Xiao Chen felt surprised. In his opinion, this was not something worth being proud of. However, all the cultivators in Heaven Dragon City felt strangely satisfied. Their expressions could not be faked. Li Luo noticed the shock on Xiao Chen's face. She said softly, "Junior brother Xiao Chen, don't feel surprised. You just came back recently and often cultivate in the Heaven Dragon Palace. Perhaps you really do not know the status of the mixed-blood dragon bloodline. In the past, our Heaven Dragon Palace was always suppressed by the other 6 outer palaces. Before them, we did not have any confidence at all. However, ever since Junior Brother came, you first destroyed Rakshasa Tian's clone in the abyssal underworld and saved one of the Empire's legions. Now, you defeated the Golden Dragon Palace's and the Silver Dragon Palace's Heaven-class core disciples at the same time. In the past, we would not have dared to imagine this." Bai Yunfeng sighed softly. "Junior sister Li Luo is right. The 6-colored divine dragons have very high standards. Even a true dragon bloodline is like a mixed blood dragon in their eyes. Just look at that Yuan Shi. He does not show anything on the surface, but he naturally disdains mixed blood dragons in his bones. Junior brother Lu only sought guidance from Yuan Shi, but he did not give him any chance at all. If it were another Outer Palace disciple with junior brother Lu Feng's strength, Yuan Shi would not mind giving them some pointers. As Xiao Chen spoke, the Heaven Dragon Palace arrived before them. According to the rules, the group had to report their gains and experiences to the sect. Xiao Chen did not want to go through the trouble, so he asked Bai Yunfeng for help and returned to Cold Moon Cave alone. Xiao Chen did not get arrogant because of the many cultivators chasing after him in Heaven Dragon City. Xiao Chen spent some time to remove the Remnant Destruction Dao and Star Extinguishing Sword Qi from the two forbidden techniques in his body, not leaving behind any future problems. After that, Xiao Chen calmly chose to cultivate. After seeing Yuan Shi's strength, Xiao Chen discovered that the Outer Palace's 4 great experts lived up to their reputations. Furthermore, Yuan Shi said that the Golden Dragon Palace's Qin Mu firmly suppressed them. This put pressure on Xiao Chen. If he did not advance, he would fall behind. If he became complacent now, Qin Mu would humiliate him ruthlessly in the competition between the 7 outer palaces. I nearly forgot about this. Xiao Chen remembered the exquisite brocade box that Lu Ruyun had given him before he left. He opened it and took a look. He opened it to take a look, feeling stunned. The brocade box actually contains some local delicacies. Xiao Chen had thought that it would be some cultivation resources. Unexpectedly, it was these. Indeed, she was still a girl. Speaking of which, Lu Ryue's closest relative in the Divine Dragon Empire should be this Lu Ryun. Xiao Chen casually took out a piece of pastry and tasted it. It tasted pretty good. 3 days later, Xiao Chen, who was cultivating, received a message from the First Palace Master, interrupting him. There is news of the 5-element divine lightning. Chapter 1990. In the main hall of Heaven Dragon Peak, Xiao Chen met with the First Palace Master, Yun, who had been waiting for a long time. Xiao Chen was about to bow when Yun raised her hand slightly, indicating that there was no need. Huh, Xiao Chen, you're really famous in the Outer Palace now. The palace masters of the other 6 palaces have been asking me about you recently. They are very concerned about you. The First Palace Master said with a face full of smiles, not concealing the joy on his face. Xiao Chen said calmly, this disciple is only doing what a disciple should do. Very few. Neither arrogant nor rash. Such a state of mind is indeed rare. You should know why I've asked you to come here today. To tell you the truth, I was planning to tell you after the competition between the 7 palaces. The First Palace Master sighed softly. There is still about 1 more month before the competition between the 7 outer palaces begins. If you end up delaying your chance to enter Ancestor Dragon City because of the 5-element divine lightning, you will lose more than you gain. If you don't go, it will be a huge loss to the Heaven Dragon Hall. The First Palace Master spoke the truth, not hiding his thoughts. Now that Xiao Chen's reputation had spread far and wide, if Xiao Chen did not appear during the 7 palaces competition, the 7 palaces competition would definitely end up as the 7 palaces competition. Not only would the morale of the Heaven Dragon Hall's disciples suffer, but they would also be laughed at by the other 6 halls. The First Palace Master could not help but think about it. However, since the First Palace Master had already called Xiao Chen over, he clearly already had an idea. However, after thinking about it, I realized that time waits for no man. The 5-element divine lightning is something that can only be found and not sought. If the 5-element divine lightning really appears this time, then the losses will be rather great. Just like the Tai profound bomb that Xiao Chen had once obtained, the 5 elements divine thunder was something that was extremely difficult to obtain. Just like the divine lightning of Tai, it only had a very small chance of being born in the tribulation lightning of heaven and earth. The tribulation thunder of heaven and earth did not refer to the tribulation of a cultivator, but the divine thunder that descended when other spiritual beings in this world underwent tribulation. For example, the Tai profound lightning had appeared during the tribulation of the devil-patterned thousand-winged serpent. Xiao Chen, on the other hand, was more open-minded. He said in a deep voice, "There's still a month left. Time is indeed a little tight. There might be a chance in the future." The first palace master was rather resolute as he denied, "No, you have to seize this opportunity. Sometimes fate is like this. If I miss this chance, I might lose it for the rest of my life. I can't bear this responsibility." When Xiao Chen heard this, he was slightly stunned. That made sense. In one's life, there are many things that might really be missed if you miss them. "Where is it?" Xiao Chen asked. "Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, a dangerous place near the White Marsh Beast Empire. There are endless thunderclouds there all year round, and the lightning attribute spiritual qi is abnormally active. In Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, there is a Fusang tree that is about to undergo a tribulation. When such a divine tree undergoes a tribulation, there is a high chance that it will produce the 5 elements divine lightning. The White Marsh Beast Empire was one of the 8 great empires, located in the northern region along with the Divine Dragon Empire. They were all empires established by cultivators who possessed the bloodline of the overlords of the Great Desolate Aeon. On the surface, they were allies, but in the dark, they competed with each other. After all, there were some benefits that could not be divided clearly just by forming an alliance. You might run into the White Marsh Beast Empire's people on this trip. Be careful. If there is no need, don't make the first move. Otherwise, you might end up leaving yourself vulnerable, the first palace master warned. Xiao Chen nodded and said, "I know." "Xiao Chen, how long have you been in my Heaven Dragon Palace?" The first palace master suddenly asked an unrelated question. Xiao Chen did not keep track of the exact date. He answered honestly, "I'm not too sure. Almost a year, I think." Back when Xiao Chen entered the Heaven Dragon Palace, he knew that the competition between the 7 outer palaces would begin in 1 year. Now, the competition between the 7 outer palaces was about to begin. Xiao Chen thought that it should be about a year now. It is not almost a year. It is 1 year and 25 days. The first palace master said with a sigh. When Xiao Chen heard that, he felt startled, finding it strange. How did the first palace master know so much? The first palace master smiled and said, "You must be wondering if I looked through the sect records. No, when you first entered the sect and became enemies with Tian Yun, we, the 3 palace masters, noticed it. When third brother insisted on taking you in as a disciple, we even laughed at him, saying that you would definitely not agree. We even made a small bet." Xiao Chen revealed an expression of understanding. No wonder the third palace master wanted to take him in as a disciple the moment he entered the Heaven Dragon Palace. It turned out that the 3 palace masters knew about the test. It looked like the 3 palace masters paid attention to the Heaven Dragon Palace's junior generation disciples, regardless of the specifics. 1 year passed in the blink of an eye. Even if I lived to my age, I would have to sigh at how fast time passes. The first palace master Yun revealed an aged expression as he sighed softly. Indeed, time passed really fast. During this 1 year, Xiao Chen had gained a lot in the Heaven Dragon Palace. This should be the year with the greatest gains since he left the Kunlun realm. In a short time, Xiao Chen broke through from Star Venerate to Middle Stage Holy Venerate. Furthermore, he learned the Dragon's Gate's Forbidden Technique, Supreme Dragon Fist, Firmament's Rage, Movement Technique, Light of Freedom, and comprehended the Heaven Dragon's mysteries. His strength had improved by leaps and bounds. In another month, after the competition between the 7 outer palaces, Xiao Chen would leave this place and head to Ancestor Dragon City. Ancestor Dragon City could be considered the Dragon's Gate's inner palace. Once he entered, he would be a true elite of the Dragon's Gate. At that time, his stage would be the entire northern region, even the entire central Great Realm. The 4 dynasties, the 8 empires, the righteous Tao, the demonic Tao, the 9 layers of the abyssal underworld. Xiao Chen would personally participate in everything. The Heaven Dragon Palace could be considered safe in its corner. No matter how much competition or commotion there was, it would be within the dragon race. There would not be any danger to Xiao Chen's life. Compared to the competition he would face in the future, everything now was just a small matter. This was a rare period of peace. The first palace master was someone with experience. He could see how exciting Xiao Chen's life would be in the future, how perilous it would be. To Xiao Chen, the Heaven Dragon Palace was just a cornerstone, a springboard for him to establish himself in the central Great Realm. The first palace master hoped that Xiao Chen would remember the days in the Heaven Dragon Palace, cherish this rare period of peace, remember the Heaven Dragon Palace and the people here. As the first palace master said earlier, many opportunities would disappear once one missed them. For many places, it would be hard to return once one left. Even if one returned, one would not be able to find the feelings of one's memories, only reminiscing in sorrow. However, it would be hard for one to understand these things without reaching a certain age. It was pointless to say too much, so the first palace master did not elaborate. He only sighed ruefully. Whether Xiao Chen could understand it or not depended on himself. Xiao Chen looked at the first palace master and said, "First palace master, I understand." The first palace master shook his head and said, "You do not understand. There are some things that you can understand. However, if you have not truly experienced them, you can never say that you truly understand them. This trip to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh is hard to predict. I'll give you a talisman. If you activate it at a crucial moment, you can summon a Heaven Dragon clone to protect your life." Xiao Chen did not argue. He stepped forward and received the talisman. The image carved on the talisman was that of the Heaven Dragon statue on the Profound Dragon platform. Xiao Chen recalled Situ Changfeng's words about the Heaven Dragon statue being unfathomable and boundlessly profound. The value of this Heaven Dragon talisman probably surpassed his expectations, making it extremely precious. Xiao Chen put it away and performed a cupped fist salute in thanks. Then, he said with a resolute gaze, "Many thanks for First Palace Master's kindness. I promise First Palace Master that no matter what, disciple Xiao Chen will definitely show up for the competition between the 7 outer palaces. In one's life, one would not get another opportunity if one missed it." This was indeed so. However, once one missed some things, one would regret it for life. I can lose the 5-element divine lightning, but I absolutely will not miss out on the competition between the 7 outer palaces. This is disciple Xiao Chen's promise. If Xiao Chen missed the competition between the 7 outer palaces, he could wait another year. However, if he lost the 5-element divine lightning, he might have to wait another 10 years or even his entire life. The former represented the collective, Xiao Chen's respect and gratitude for the Heaven Dragon Palace. The latter represented the individual. It concerned Xiao Chen's strength and was a selfish decision. Xiao Chen's words made his choice very clear. The first palace master was slightly stunned, somewhat surprised that Xiao Chen would take this so seriously. After being stunned for a while, he smiled and said, "I believe you. Goodbye." After leaving the main hall, Xiao Chen looked at the sky outside with a somewhat grave expression. His figure flashed, and he landed on the top of the Heaven Dragon Palace. Then, he looked at the vast Heaven Dragon Palace again and saw the hundreds of thousands of mixed-blood dragon cultivators moving about in a hurry below. Most of the time, Xiao Chen really thought that he was one of them. Xiao Chen had forgotten the fact that he possessed a grade 8 blue dragon bloodline and shouldered the heavy responsibility of reviving the blue dragon bloodline. One day, when I become the Dragon Emperor, I will definitely abolish the old system and let the mixed-blood dragon bloodline gain true respect. Everyone is born equal. How can one use bloodline to determine one's status? Chapter 1991. Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Not many people knew about this place in the Divine Dragon Empire. After all, it was not within the Empire's borders and did not have as great a fortuitous encounter as Desolate God Valley. However, this Thundercloud Ancient Marsh was rather famous in the White Marsh Beast Empire. Lightning-attributed cultivators frequently went there for experiential training. The White Marsh Beast was an ancient great desolate Aeon strange snake. It was completely snow-white and extremely intelligent. Normally speaking, snakes were frightening dark existences. They were accompanied by all sorts of negative terms, inspiring fear and dread. However, the White Marsh Beast was an exception. It could be seen as a holy snake. Among the 10,000 races of the Great Desolate Aeon, The white marsh beast bloodline was named after the phoenix, the qilin, and the other holy beasts. However, the great desolate Aeon was already gone, and it was now the epic era. Like the dragon race, the white marsh beast did not leave behind any pure-blooded descendants. There were only human cultivators who inherited the white marsh beast bloodline. Time was tight. This time, Shao Chun directly used the primeval heavenly pill. He used the trans-realm transportation formation to leave the divine dragon empire and arrive at the city closest to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, Thundercloud City. Thundercloud City, don't just stand there. There are still people waiting behind. The old man operating the trans-realm transportation formation urged Shao Chun, who was looking around, to come out quickly. Actually, he was quite curious at times. What kind of power was it? What kind of power was it that connected all the transboundary teleportation arrays in the Great Thousand Domains together? After thinking about it carefully, even the 4 dynasties did not have such ability. Shao Chun shook his head and left the transportation formation, formally entering this city. Since Thundercloud City could have a trans-realm transportation formation, it could not be a small city. According to rumor, this city was controlled by a noble clan. This was an independent city. There were many such independent cities in the northern region. People who could control independent cities all had extremely strong factions behind them, existences that even empires and rank 7 sects had to think twice about. I need a detailed map of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh to find the exact location of the propping mulberry tree. Shao Chun rubbed his chin as he wandered the streets of the city. The 9 Cauldron Pavilion. Shao Chun's gaze stopped in front of a magnificent building. He muttered to himself, "It seems like I have a VIP card, and its rank is quite high." Shao Chun walked in and handed over his VIP card to the receptionist. He said, "I would like to introduce you as the person in charge." The pretty maid glanced at Shao Chun's VIP card and smiled politely. "Young master, your VIP card is only a grade 1 purple card. You can only meet grade 3 managers. You'll need at least a gold card to meet the 2nd level manager." When Shao Chun heard that, he felt somewhat embarrassed. It looked like Li Xiuhai from Ancient Desolate Town tricked him. It was a first-class VIP card, but he didn't tell her that there was a golden VIP card above it. However, when Shao Chun thought about it, it made sense. Li Xiuhai was only a minor character in Ancient Desolate Town. How could he give Shao Chun too much authority? However, the level of a purple card is already very high. We can give you a 10% discount and provide professional guidance services. The pretty maid noticed Shao Chun's awkwardness and chuckled softly to ease the atmosphere. "You then. I need a map of the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Please follow me to the VIP lounge." Shao Chun nodded slightly and followed behind the other party, walking calmly. "Young Master Shao." Just at this moment, a pleasantly surprised voice startled Shao Chun and the maid. Shao Chun looked back and was shocked to discover that the person was Li Xiuhai. Li Xiuhai showed a shocked expression. When he discovered that it really was Shao Chun, he rejoiced and rushed over with large strides. "Kiss?" Shao Chun asked. The pretty maid replied softly, "He is our new Lord Manager. There's nothing else for you here. I'll entertain young Master Shao. You can go and do something else," Li Xiuhai said with a smile as he sent the maid away. "Yes." The pretty maid withdrew obediently. Before she left, she bowed slightly to Shao Chun and Li Xiuhai, appearing refined and courteous. The Thundercloud Ancient Marsh truly lived up to its reputation as one of the top 10 super merchant associations in the entire Central Great Realm. The maid's service was extremely thorough. Shao Chun took out his purple card and teased, "This card's level is really high. I can't even meet a manager." Li Xiuhai knew that he was playing a trick. He smiled awkwardly and said, Sorry. I'll give young Master Shao a gold card later. Let's go to the VIP room first. I'll get someone to call Mr. Bai over." Soon, the 3 gathered in the VIP room. After a simple conversation, Shao Chun learned that Li Xiuhai had been promoted in the Merchant Association because of his business deal. In the entire northern region, Li Xiuhai was already a 2nd-class manager. Any higher and he would be the person in charge of the northern region. Coincidentally, Li Xiuhai was transferred to Thundercloud City, leaving a remote place like ancient desolate town. It had to be said that there was some fate between them. I really did not expect to see young Master Xiao again so soon after we arrived at Thundercloud City, Li Xiuhai said with a smile. He felt that Xiao Chen always brought him good luck, so he was very excited to see him again. However, Mr. Bai appeared rather calm. He smiled softly and said, "It's a small world." Little friend Xiao Chen, did you come to Thundercloud City for the propping mulberry tree's tribulation this time? Mr. Bai was as wise and far-sighted as ever, easily guessing Xiao Chen's itinerary. Xiao Chen asked in shock, "Mr. Bai, how did you know?" Just as Mr. Bai was about to say something, Li Xiuhai interrupted, "I know the reason. Recently, 3 outsiders have come to Thundercloud City. After that, we found out through the Heavenly Alliance's information network that the propping mulberry tree is about to undergo its tribulation. I heard that a few experts skilled in divination predicted that the 5-element divine lightning might appear during the propping mulberry tree's tribulation. Young Master Xiao happens to be a Thunder Great Dao cultivator. Aside from this, there should be no other reason for him to come to Thundercloud City." Xiao Chen understood. He asked sullenly, "Are my requests difficult? The map is not a problem. After all, it is next to the White Marsh Beast Empire. All the places that should have been explored in the past 10,000 years have already been explored. However, the propping mulberry tree's location is somewhat difficult. Young Master Xiao, as you know, some trees will gain sentience after 10,000 years. Besides, this is a divine tree. It has long gained sentience." "It already gained sentience long ago," Li Xiuhai said with a slight frown, appearing somewhat troubled. "I see." Xiao Chen entered deep thought. He did not have that much time to wander around Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Since the propping mulberry tree had sentience, it would definitely run away on its own. Finding it would be too difficult. Given that, Xiao Chen might as well return and save himself the trouble. Then he could focus on cultivating and prepare for the competition between the 7 outer palaces. Mr. Bai said, "Actually, it is not as problematic as you imagine. I saw that many of the 3 outsiders who came were very confident and did not worry about not being able to find the propping mulberry tree." A thought occurred to Xiao Chen. Then he looked at Mr. Bai and asked, "What do you mean?" "The propping mulberry tree has existed since the beginning of the martial epoch. Who knows how many tribulations it has undergone? There is bound to be some pattern to it. There are only a few suitable spots for it to undergo its tribulation. If it chooses a spot to undergo its tribulation, there will definitely be traces to follow. We just need to guard it properly." Mr. Bai paused for a while before continuing, "Little friend Xiao Chen, if you trust me, I will help you find the spot where the propping mulberry tree is most likely to appear in 2 days, no, 1 day. Words cannot express my gratitude for this great favor." Xiao Chen stood up and performed a cupped fist salute. "Since it is just 1 day, I will arrange for Sir Xiao to stay at the Merchant Association. That way, I will be able to inform you if there is any news." Li Xiuhai extended a warm invitation. Xiao Chen rejected, "I will just stay nearby for a night. There is no need to trouble yourself." After Xiao Chen left, Li Xiuhai smiled and said, "Mr. Bai, it is all thanks to you for keeping Sir Xiao here. I really could not tell that Mr. Bai is so knowledgeable." Mr. Bai replied indifferently, "It's not that I know a lot. It's just that the propping mulberry tree's tribulation is a major matter, so I paid some attention to it." Let's not talk about that. However, isn't it a little too rushed to help Sir Xiao in 1 day? It's fine. My authority in the Heavenly Alliance is sufficient." Bang! Just at this moment, the two's expressions changed at the same time. An intense murderous intent burst out from the 9 Cauldron Pavilion. The two were very familiar with that murderous intent. It came from Xiao Chen. What happened? Did Xiao Chen start a conflict with someone? To think that he started a fight in the 9 Cauldron Pavilion, breaking the rules. Let's go quickly. Don't let the guards make a move on Xiao Chen. The two knew that the situation was urgent, so they rushed out. However, they discovered that it was already too late. The 9 Cauldron Pavilion's experts blocked Xiao Chen in the hall. The two sides faced each other in a somewhat tense standoff. A misunderstanding, a misunderstanding. What happened? Li Xiaohai rushed over, afraid that the 9 Cauldron Pavilion's experts would fight with Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen sighed in his heart. Then he performed a cupped fist salute and apologized. This is this Xiao's fault. I apologize to Manager Li and Mr. Bai. Earlier, the instant Xiao Chen came out of the VIP room, he happened to feel a familiar aura. A mysterious person wrapped in a cloak came out from another private room with a map of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in his hand. Xiao Chen immediately recognized this person. It was the mysterious person shrouded in a scarlet shadow who stood with the holy Sun Mingxian in the ancient city. While Xiao Chen found this strange, the other party discovered him and quickly left without saying a word. This situation was extremely strange. Xiao Chen could not resist trying to block the other party. However, he accidentally violated the 9 Cauldron Pavilion's rules. Fighting was forbidden in the Merchant Association. The sovereign personage experts of the 9 Cauldron Pavilion blocked Xiao Chen, so he could only watch as the other party left. Chapter 1992. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows mocked with some mockery. It would be fine normally. However, many experts have come to Thundercloud City recently. I wonder why they are here. I just hope I do not run into them. To think that someone could remain safe after making a move in the 9 Cauldron Pavilion. This person's background was somewhat surprising. I do not have much time. Whether I succeed or not, I have to leave within 1 month. After leaving the 9 Cauldron Pavilion, Xiao Chen chose a nearby inn to stay in. Then, he took out a primeval heavenly pill and closed his eyes to cultivate. Xiao Chen also knew why this place was always wet. Heavy rain often fell under thunderclouds. The figure was wearing a black cloak that covered his entire body, revealing only a pair of palpitating eyes. Not long after the mysterious man entered, the group of cultivators suddenly became wary. A figure that inspired fear slowly walked over from the heavy rain in front. As a lightning-attributed cultivator, Xiao Chen did not feel much pressure in this place. Xiao Chen frowned slightly and stopped walking. He discovered that there were many cultivators in black holding weapons in their hands, blocking the path in his direction. I wonder if the castle master can obtain it this time? If he can, he will definitely give us many benefits. To think that the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows managed to obtain so much useful information in 1 day. If you don't believe me, then don't come with me. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows appeared displeased. One of them was the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows that Xiao Chen saw yesterday. Thunderclouds gathered in the sky at the limits of Xiao Chen's vision. Occasionally, he could see lightning tearing through the sky. At the same time, 2 people discussed entering Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in a private room of an inn in Thundercloud City. 2 days later, Xiao Chen, who was on the Demon Blood Vulture, noticed some changes in the sky. Li Xiaohai asked worriedly as he looked at Xiao Chen's back. Definitely. It's fine. I just ran into an acquaintance. It looks like he is here to obtain the 5-element divine lightning as well. Of course, it was extremely valuable. Senior Bai, do you think that Xiao Chen will succeed? Although the 5-element divine lightning is somewhat ethereal and might not appear, the people who came this time are not people to be offended. These 2 days, Thundercloud City has clearly not been peaceful. A scarlet, flame-like bird soared through the sky, rushing toward the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. There were many things that Mr. Bai was not clear about yesterday, but today he was crystal clear. Master Bai pointed to the red dots on the map and said, if nothing unexpected happens, the propping mulberry tree will definitely undergo its tribulation in one of these 5 places. The map that the 9 Cauldron Pavilion gave Xiao Chen was no ordinary map. It contained complicated formations and dense talisman scripts. All right, then let's set off immediately. Along the way, Xiao Chen saw many teams, and there was no lack of experts among them. In the heavy rain, it was very boring. The disciples chatted from time to time. Upon seeing the mark between the other party's brows, the saint-venerate old man immediately felt somewhat horrified. It was an expert from the White Marsh Beast Empire. Just like him, they didn't choose to temper themselves. Instead, their gazes wandered about aimlessly as they searched the surroundings. Suddenly, the ground split open, and a large snake burrowed out. Amid miserable shrieks, it swallowed up all the other disciples, aside from the saint-venerate old man, at lightning speed. Xiaochen explained many things to Xiaochen in detail, answering many of his questions. He felt somewhat curious as to where the other party's information came from. A small faction near Thundercloud City must have discovered something in the dense forest. Unfortunately, Xiaochen could not execute this strong cultivation technique in front of everyone. Thunder Eagle Castle? What's that? Sir Xiao, what happened earlier? Xiaochen opened the map and compared it to the one in front. Thundercloud Ancient Marsh's periphery was right in front. There are really a lot of people targeting the 5-element divine lightning. Clearly, they were all here to search for the propping mulberry tree. Come, tell me what you bunch of trash are waiting here for. There's no rush. I don't need the 5-element divine lightning. Are you confident of obtaining what I want? Li Xiuhai smiled and said, Sir Xiao, let me borrow it first. You can just return it to me after the matter is over. If you find anything in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, you can sell it to me. Li Xiuhai asked out of curiosity. Clearly, Xiaochen was not someone who did not understand the rules. Something must have happened. One day passed in the blink of an eye. Let's depart, then, the pale, middle-aged man said sinisterly. Master Bai smiled and said, That is easy. If this is indeed the propping mulberry tree's tribulation site, then the vegetation there will definitely be lush, clearly different from other places. Although it is a divine tree, it cannot casually move it when it is undergoing tribulation. It will be easy to find. Master Bai smiled and said, Don't worry about this. Look, Xiaochen is not at all conflicted. Just based on his attitude, I feel that he will definitely gain something. Even if he does not obtain the 5-element divine lightning, he will not return empty-handed. Xiaochen thanked Master Bai and took his leave. The ground was somewhat damp and covered in weeds. When Xiaochen looked around, it was vast and boundless. His figure flashed, turning into a gentle breeze. Then, Xiaochen drifted into the dense forest. Xiaochen answered casually, not saying anything more. I'll leave my matter to the two of you. Xiaochen did not dare to be interested in their discovery. He only wanted to pass through the forest and rush to the possible tribulation site of the propping mulberry tree on the map. After walking for half an hour, Xiaochen took a deep breath and continued advancing cautiously in the heavy rain. The blue sky and white clouds could no longer be seen in the sky. It was filled with black thunderclouds. Let's go and take a look. Occasionally, Xiaochen could see all sorts of strange mutated vegetation in this somewhat oppressive environment. The vegetation was abnormally lush. However, the colors were not bright. They were all dark plants. A pale, middle-aged man stood on the head of the huge snake. Our Thunder Eagle Castle turned out in full force. How could we fail? Right now, Xiaochen's divine dragon body tempering art was stuck at the peak of the 5th layer. He had no hope of breaking through the purple thunder divine incantation for now, so he could only cultivate the demonic cloud heaven-swallowing art first. The places where the propping mulberry tree had a chance of appearing were clearly marked in red. Xiaochen, who had already silently passed through their guards and arrived on the tree above them, rubbed his chin and entered deep thought. Thundercloud fruit? Xiaochen gently tapped the map, and the scene on the map immediately enlarged. A 3-dimensional scene appeared before his eyes, showing the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh in its entirety. The old man struggled with all his might. However, the more he struggled, the weaker he became. The poison on the snake's skin continuously permeated his body. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows said indifferently, I ran into someone who snatched my map. That's a small matter. Now that I have the map, have you gotten any information? There was only one old man, who had just advanced to Holy Venerate, that required some attention. He felt that his lightning-attributed veritable essence energy would improve rapidly if he cultivated in this place. Such a scene caused the others to be slightly shocked. Boom! A few blind ferocious beasts leaped out of the ground. Xiao Chen casually killed them, and his figure flashed as he entered Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Mr. Gong, I heard that you nearly ran into trouble at the Nine Cauldron Pavilion yesterday? The pale, middle-aged man asked meaningfully as he looked at the man shrouded in bloody shadows. Li Xiuhai said indifferently as he glanced at the sovereign personage experts. These were all cultivators who had just advanced to Star Venerate. Some were not even Star Venerates yet. Their clothes all had the symbol of a sect embroidered on them. Outside Thundercloud City, blue sky and white clouds. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows seemed to have an extremely urgent desire for the five-element divine lightning. Half a day later, a dense forest appeared in front of Xiao Chen. In the heavy rain, the entire forest was filled with mist. At this moment he was wearing a large cloak that covered his body. Apart from his strange aura, nothing else could be seen. The air was filled with violent lightning-attributed spiritual energy. Soon, it started raining. Opposite him was a pale-faced middle-aged man with a blood-red mark between his eyebrows. That mark was the mark of the White Marsh Beast Empire, something that only cultivators with the White Marsh Beast bloodline had. You all can withdraw first. This is my friend. It was just a misunderstanding earlier. Xiao Chen entered deep thought and asked, if I find the right place, how do I confirm it? When Xiao Chen arrived at the Nine Cauldron Pavilion, he successfully obtained what he wanted, a complete map of Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Li Xiuhai asked when Xiao Chen stood up and prepared to leave with the map. Since this was Li Xiuhai's friend, these Nine Cauldron Pavilion experts naturally would not make things difficult for Xiao Chen. They performed cupped fist salutes and withdrew. How many primeval heavenly pills? Xiao Chen asked. Just as this holy venerate was about to flee, the snake under the middle-aged man's feet swept up its tail and bound this holy venerate old man, preventing him from moving. Then, the snake brought him before the middle-aged man. Who is it? The Thunder Eagle Castle has already sealed off this place. If you want to travel, please take another direction. Xiao Chen got the demon blood vulture to stop. Then, he leaped down from the sky and landed firmly on the ground. Naturally. It has already been 3 days. If I still have not found out where the propping mulberry tree might undergo its tribulation, then there is no need for me to work with you. How lucky! Unexpectedly, we found the thundercloud fruit in the forest. The only holy venerate old man stepped forward, hoping to use the Thunder Eagle Castle's reputation to intimidate the other party. No problem. We are leaving now. Chapter 1993. I'll tell you. A disciple of our Thunder Eagle Castle discovered a thundercloud fruit in this forest. It has already given birth to a Tao pattern, so he brought the entire sect here. The holy venerate old man's complexion turned black as he said in pain. How strong is your fort, master? Small perfection sovereign personage, skilled in the thunder Tao. Thump. When he was done, the pale-faced middle-aged man flung him away. Get lost. The holy venerate old man ran out in a panic, not daring to look back. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows stepped forward and entered deep thought. The 10,000-year-old thundercloud fruit is quite valuable. Are you interested? The pale-faced, middle-aged man said, I am not a cultivator of the thunder Tao. The castle lord is also a small perfection sovereign personage. Naturally, he will not take this risk. However, based on Xiao Chen's calm expression, it was clear that he did not take this small perfection sovereign personage Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master seriously. Then help me get this thundercloud fruit first. The man shrouded in bloody shadows said indifferently. The horrifying venomous snake silently burrowed into the demonic pet pouch at the middle-aged man's waist. The middle-aged man smiled faintly and said, Mr. Gong, you are not willing to let any of these Thunder Tao treasures off. Fine, it's just a small matter. Let's just treat it as an appetizer for our cooperation. Don't talk nonsense. You help me and I help you. You will definitely benefit from it. The two immediately changed their original path and went deep into the forest, starting to search for the whereabouts of the Thunder Eagle Castle's gang members. Swish, swish, swish. In the dense forest, Rain fell continuously. Although cultivators could not touch a single drop of water and their strength would not be affected by the environment, they would not be affected by it. However, the terrible weather still affected people's mood. Xiaochen flew through the forest, capturing all the movements in the dense forest. With his keen divine sense, he quickly found some clues. The rain could wash away the traces of fighting and the smell of blood in the air, but it could not wash away the aura left behind by the martial artists. An hour later, Xiaochen stopped in front of a big tree. There was no need to use spiritual sense. One could hear the sounds of intense fighting with just their ears. Found it. Xiaochen pondered for a moment and changed into a new set of clothes. Then he took out the Grim Reaper's mask and wore it. Immediately, all of Xiaochen's aura was isolated. Even if a divine vein expert came over, they would not be able to detect Xiaochen, who had intentionally hidden himself. Under the lead of a sovereign personage, the elite disciples of the Thunder Eagle Castle charged forward in the dense forest ahead. That small perfection sovereign personage expert had resolute facial features. He wore simple robes that exposed his muscular arms and chest. His body seemed to be filled with explosive energy. Castle Lord, how much longer? This jungle is too dangerous. Almost half of our brothers have died. In the dense forest, in addition to the fierce beasts, the more dangerous things were the vegetation that could not be guarded against. More than 100 people from the Thunder Eagle Castle came in. Now, only about 50 or 60 remained. Don't hesitate. Keep going. The Thunder Eagle Castle master struggled slightly. However, when he thought about how he could improve his Thunder Dao by obtaining the Thundercloud fruit, he braced himself and continued walking forward. In the dense forest, any random tree could have thousands or even tens of thousands of years of history. The toughness of the tree could be comparable to godly metal. While the environment looked simple, in reality, even a sovereign personage had to be careful, not daring to be careless. Castle Lord, it is there. Half a month ago, I discovered the Thundercloud fruit there. There was a ferocious beast there. Hey, why is it gone now? That ferocious beast clearly had an extremely terrifying aura. We should have been able to sense it from far away. A Thunder Eagle Castle disciple exclaimed, feeling shocked and confused. The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master's expression turned sullen. He said, "Let's go and take a look." The group quickly advanced. Soon, they saw the corpse of a ferocious beast lying quietly on the ground. Thick blood spread out on the ground. Even the heavy rain could not wash it away, continuously seeping into the ground. Electric light flashed not far from the ferocious beast corpse. Thunderclouds drifted in the surroundings. A youth with a clean face and plain clothes was currently trying to subdue the Thundercloud fruit, suppressing the Tao in it. Who is it? When the Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master saw that the mutated fruit was snatched away, he became enraged. He shouted, "Quickly hand over the Thundercloud fruit. Otherwise, you can forget about leaving alive." That clean and tidy youth's eyes were as clear as water. However, he did not look immature. He said in a melodious voice, "I am Sang. This place is not safe. If you still do not leave, none of you might be able to leave. I don't know whether I will die or not. In any case, you will die today." When the Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master saw that the other party not only did not hand over the Thundercloud fruit but even threatened them, murderous intent immediately filled their eyes. The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master called out and prepared to get the Thunder Eagle Castle's people to attack together, not letting this youth leave. But just at this moment, a miserable shriek rang out. A vine crawled out of the ground and wrapped around a Thunder Eagle Castle disciple. That snake-like vine was covered in tiny thorns, looking like pinholes. It instantly sucked that disciple's blood dry, turning him into a pile of withered bones. Closely following that, more vines emerged from the ground. Blood-sucking vines. Everyone quickly run. All the disciples of the Thunder Eagle Castle fell into a state of panic. They broke the vines in fear. However, the vines seemed to be endless, and there was no way to cut them all. Damn it, how did this happen? The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master glanced at that youth and then at his group of disciples. He clenched his teeth and had no choice but to give up on the idea of getting the thundercloud fruit. He used all his strength to protect the disciples who came with him, cutting down the vines one by one, and prepared to break out of the encirclement. The bloodsucking vine was one of the most ferocious mutated plants in the thundercloud ancient marsh. Its roots were buried deep underground. Almost all martial artists who encountered it would find it difficult to escape with their lives. However, this blood-sucking vine rarely appeared. It was impossible for ordinary martial artists to encounter it. Today, for some reason, he suddenly appeared in this forest. Some of the disciples wanted to soar into the air and fly out of the forest. Who knew that the vines seemed to have eyes and shot out like arrows from the ground? Before he could ascend 1,000 meters, the vines grabbed him and sucked him dry in the air, turning him into white bones. Everyone, don't act rashly. Do not fly into the air. The blood-sucking vines do not have eyes and are very sensitive to the sound of the wind. The Thunder Eagle Castle's castle master shouted, "Follow me closely and kill our way out." When this group of Thunder Eagle Castle disciples went far away, their fates unknown, Shaochen prepared to show himself. Two figures appeared and looked coldly at the plain-looking youth, Sang. "Hand over the thundercloud fruit." "It's him." Under the mask, Shaochen felt slightly shocked. The cloaked figure of the two was the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows that he met in the Nine Cauldron Pavilion. Shaochen did not recognize the person beside him. However, when he looked at the mark on his forehead, he knew that this was a white marsh beast empire cultivator. Sang frowned slightly. He sensed the danger that these two people posed to him. Just as he was hesitating, a snake image suddenly appeared behind him. In the time it took for a spark to fly, it opened its mouth and spat out venom. The venom penetrated the rainwater, which instantly turned black. The venom mixed with the rainwater and quickly fell towards Sang. Despicable! Sang, who was suppressing the thundercloud fruit, cursed and quickly dodged. However, he was still too slow and came in contact with a drop of venom. Immediately, Sang felt a heart-wrenching pain. His lips instantly turned black, and his complexion paled, drained of blood. Just obediently hand over the thundercloud fruit. You were poisoned by my flying dragon snake. If you do not have the antidote, even if a true god were alive, he would not be able to save you. The youth snorted coldly and turned around to leave, moving very quickly. Trying to run? It's not that easy. After him, the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, Mr. Gong, and the pale, middle-aged man leaped onto the flying dragon snake and gave chase. The flying dragon snake slithered on the ground like a strong gust of wind. It crashed into many towering trees, showing how strong it was. However, just as the two were about to catch up to this youth, a figure descended, holding a ghost pennant and blocking the two. Both Mr. Gong and the pale, middle-aged man were startled and quickly got the snake to stop. It was that person. He wore a white mask with scriptures carved on it. Black demonic chi surged out of his body. Most importantly, the two could not make out the other party's strength. They did not know how strong this person was. Back off. Under the mask, Xiao Chen's voice changed to a cold shout. Chapter 1994. This temporarily stabilized the flying dragon snake's venom. Xiao Chen asked casually as he turned around. He felt an incredible headache. As he looked at Xiao Chen, who had changed his attire, he was stunned for a while before recognizing him. Xiao Chen said seriously, "Don't overthink. I'm only doing this for the thundercloud fruit in your hand. Hand it to me. I need it more than you do." The soul tool. Now that Xiao Chen had made some progress, obtaining the thundercloud fruit was the most important thing. Trying to delay? Unfortunately, I don't have that patience. It was not easy to control and drained too much soul energy. The ancient great desolate Aeon ferocious beast embroidered on the ghost pennant immediately released a trace of might, scaring the flying dragon snake into becoming obedient. Xiao Chen hesitated for only 1 second before choosing to trust this youth. Xiao Chen landed firmly on the ground. From communicating with the demon blood vulture, he learned that this delicate youth, Sang, actually found a herb in the dense forest. Not far away, the delicate youth, Sang, leaned against a tree. He opened his eyes and looked at Xiao Chen. "Why did you save me? You should go." However, if the demon blood vulture did not appear, Sang would not be able to help this youth settle down. After thinking for a while, he removed his mask and cloak. Sang smiled coldly and handed the thundercloud fruit to Xiao Chen reluctantly, who knew that after taking a few steps, his body would stumble and fall to the ground unsteadily. Sang smiled mysteriously. "I've seen several batches of people like you. How can I not know? You are too late. If you continue searching like this, you might not even know when the propping mulberry tree finishes its tribulation." Seeing how stubborn this youth was, Sang frowned. "What are you doing?" The Qiongqi beast's demonic soul entered the ghost pennant. Soon, Sang saw the demon blood vulture's figure. He gently leaped up and landed on the demon blood vulture's back. Xiao Chen looked at the other party without batting an eyelid. "How did you know?" Sang looked at Xiao Chen warily and took a few steps back. Since that was the case, he might as well make the first move. Before him, there were already a few groups of people who had come before him. The Qiongqi beast ghost banner in Xiao Chen's hand shone brightly and the demonic might on his body surged and soared into the sky. This youth's words sounded credible. Xiao Chen looked at the other party suspiciously. "You know where the propping mulberry tree underwent its tribulation?" Xiao Chen released his Thunder Dao Might and easily suppressed the Thundercloud Fruit's Dao Might under the other party's surprised gaze. This time, he did not deliberately suppress the Thundercloud Fruit's Great Path runes. The massive might of the Great Path was accompanied by lightning, and the light was somewhat dazzling. Now, Xiao Chen's usage of soul tools had improved significantly. After executing the Qiongqi beast's ghost streamer, his soul power was completely under his control and was not greatly affected. As expected, if it appeared, it would be a little troublesome. Xiao Chen returned to the demon blood vulture's back. Then he looked at the youth and said, "If you want me to send you off, I can." Under the mask, Xiao Chen sneered. The Qiongqi ghost streamer in his hand flickered slightly. The pale, middle-aged man stomped on the flying dragon snake's head and stabilized himself. Then he looked at Xiao Chen even more cautiously. Xiao Chen entered deep thought. If the demon blood vulture appeared, he would not be able to keep his identity a secret. "May I know who you are?" 3 days later, the youth on the demon blood vulture's back wobbled and woke up. Xiao Chen did not insist. "My destination is in front. I'll send you off later." He was still a teenager, so he didn't resist it. "You have reached great perfection of your Thunder Dao. You indeed need this thundercloud fruit more than me." The scarlet eyes released a light, and its long tongue flickered continuously, threatening Xiao Chen in a mocking manner. Although Xiao Chen had received news of this and used the Trans-Realm Transportation Formation to rush here, according to Master Bai's words, he should be able to obtain the Thunder Cloud Fruit. As Xiao Chen looked in the direction of the scarlet man shrouded in bloody shadows, he entered deep thought under the mask. Compared to when he first used it, his soul energy found it somewhat unbearable. Under the mask, Xiao Chen revealed a mocking expression. He had guessed that the two would not be able to hold back. Shaking his head, Xiao Chen turned around and soared into the air. Right now, he had more important things to do. He had the demon blood vulture keep an eye on the fleeing delicate youth, Sang. Sang said softly. Then, he looked coldly at Xiao Chen before turning to leave. Although Sang moved fast, the demonic might still shocked the two. The holy beast severely injured the holy beast. However, it did not turn its head back, fleeing even faster. The demon blood vulture carried Xiao Chen above the dense forest. Then, it stopped and circled around. Whoosh! After casually looking around, Xiao Chen felt somewhat disappointed. Everything seemed normal here. The spiritual energy was not particularly dense, and the plants did not grow wildly. Whoosh! Great minds think alike. Let's continue to fight with him. Let's attack at the same time and see how strong he is. The two were confident of blocking this strike. However, They feared that the other party was truly a demonic Dao expert. Why would it be impossible for a demonic Dao expert to possess a soul tool? Be more obedient, Xiaochen sent a voice projection. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows replied indifferently, he is probably just trying to mystify us. If he were truly a senior expert, he would have attacked long ago. Xiaochen immediately felt somewhat shocked. This youth did not look old, but his life force accumulations were boundlessly vast. Since he was already late, he might as well give it his all and take a gamble. This youth has many secrets. Xiaochen said casually, you should have grown up in this thundercloud ancient marsh. Where are your parents and seniors? I'll send you over. Otherwise, you will not be able to get rid of the poison in your body by yourself. Although it's not fatal, fainting suddenly like just now happens often. Right after Xiaochen spoke, he quickly executed the attack that he had prepared long ago. The youth nimbly leaped onto the demon blood vulture and patted its back. Then he said softly, naturally I know. Tell this demon blood vulture to listen to my commands. I'll bring you over. Otherwise, by the time you find them, it will be too late. On the flying dragon snake, the white marsh beast empire cultivators and the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows showed somewhat grave expressions. They did not act rashly. The flying dragon snake, which had only inherited a trace of its bloodline, was no longer a true flying dragon snake. This Qiongqi beast's ferocious might frightened it into trembling and nearly flinging the two off. The flying dragon snake feared that the Qiongqi beast's demonic soul would chase after them. Bang! To think that the Black Lotus Church's demonic soul was targeting the five-element divine lightning like Xiaochen. Xiaochen wondered if the Black Lotus Church's holy sun would appear. Mr. Gong, what should we do now? Who exactly is this mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows? How did he get together with the Black Lotus Church's holy sun back then? Run! Soon, the demon blood vulture swooped down, bringing Xiaochen to the first red dot on the map. Clearly, this was not where the propping mulberry tree was going to undergo its tribulation. Xiaochen, who was toying with the thundercloud fruit and preparing to put it in his storage ring, saw this scene. He stepped forward and sighed at this person's life force. Seeing Xiaochen's sincere attitude, Sang's expression warmed somewhat. He shook his head and said, I do not have parents. Let me down. I have my own ways to remove the poison. The two had just made up their minds when the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows looked at Xiaochen and said, Sir, you are holding a ghost pennant. Could you be an outstanding disciple of the soul-devouring palace, one of the 10 great demonic Dao sects? If not for his extraordinary life force, the flying dragon snake's poison would have killed him long ago. Whoosh! If Sang was not careful, his soul would scatter, and he would die without a burial. The pale, middle-aged man also knew how powerful this strike was. His movements were no weaker than the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows. Sang sized up the surroundings. Then, he looked at Xiaochen and suddenly asked, Are you looking for the place where the propping mulberry tree is undergoing its tribulation? However, the gargantuan flying dragon snake under the two did not last long. You're awake! Xiaochen scared the two away. However, he did not continue chasing with his demon soul. After all, the Qiongqi beast ghost pennant was a soul tool. The flying dragon snake was also an incredible ancient ferocious beast. However, the one before Xiaochen was not a pure-blooded flying dragon snake. When the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows saw the Qiongqi beast ghost pennant, he showed an extremely horrified expression. He did not have a physical body and feared such demon soul attacks the most. Xiaochen turned into a black bolt of lightning as he quickly traveled through the dense forest. Great! The terrifying Qiongqi beast ghost pennant flew out of the ghost pennant. The overwhelming demonic might of an ancient ferocious beast surged out. Carrying the mysterious man, Xiaochen leaped into the air and landed on the demon blood vulture's back. Then he placed the mysterious man on its back. However, although the flying dragon snake's poison was still corroding the mysterious man's life force, it would take at least 10 years to completely corrode the mysterious man. Chapter 1995. 8 days later, under Sang's guidance, Xiaochen arrived at a wasteland in the thundercloud ancient marsh. After circling the sky once, Xiaochen felt that something was amiss. In the vast wasteland, there was a place with lush vegetation that was particularly eye-catching. With a single glance, one could tell that this place was different from other places. The wild grass looked scary. Who would have thought that a stalk of wild grass could be more than 10 meters long? But here, as far as the eye could see, there were strange sights that could not be seen normally. The exuberant vitality even attracted birds and spirit beasts, and it seemed to be full of vitality. This is the place. Sang, who was on the demon blood vulture's back, said softly after taking a look. Xiaochen looked around strangely. Why did the propping mulberry tree choose this place as the tribulation point? I do not see anything special about it. Everything has a spirit. Once you touch the boundary set by the heavenly Tao, you will have to undergo a tribulation. The tribulation of plants and ferocious beasts was different from that of cultivators. One should not look at it from the perspective of cultivators. To the propping mulberry tree, this place had the most fire-attributed elements in the thundercloud ancient marsh. It was also the place with the most sunlight. It's perfect for transcending tribulations. Sang's words made Xiaochen look at him in a different light. Young man, you know quite a lot at such a young age. Sang did not deny it. He asked softly, are you here for the 5-element divine lightning? Of course. Sang seemed to heave a sigh of relief when he heard that. Then, he said with a complicated expression, however, the propping mulberry tree is unwilling to see the 5-element divine lightning appear. Xiaochen smiled and said, that's natural. Who would be willing to have such divine lightning appear during their tribulation? However, the propping mulberry tree appeared at nearly the same time as the martial epoch. It should be able to endure this lightning tribulation. Sang glanced at Xiaochen and said, who told you all this? During the Great Desolate Era, the propping mulberry tree appeared. Most of the divine trees had the ability to undergo nirvana. Before the end of the epoch, it can be reborn and reborn in the next epoch. Xiaochen smiled and did not argue with this youth. He said softly, no matter what, thank you for sending me here. Otherwise, by the time I found this place, the propping mulberry tree would have already completed its tribulation. Up in the sky, he had already noticed that many people had gathered in the grass and trees below. If the 5 elements divine lightning really appeared, it would definitely not be his turn. Sang said indifferently, laugh after you survive. Everyone knows that the propping mulberry tree's tribulation has a chance of producing the 5-element divine lightning. However, I wonder what kind of storm the propping mulberry tree will cause every time it undergoes a tribulation. What do you mean? Xiaochen looked at this youth and asked for guidance. This youth grew up in the thundercloud ancient marsh and should know a lot more than him. Perhaps he knew something that the intelligence didn't. After hesitating for a moment, Sang did not say anything more. Even if I tell you, you will not give up. You should be more careful. Whoosh. Right after Sang spoke, he jumped off the demon blood vulture's back and landed deep in the grass, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Xiaochen frowned slightly and said, what a strange youth. Since this place was already confirmed to be the propping mulberry tree's tribulation, then he should find a place and wait quietly. The demon blood vulture, which looked like a scarlet flame and looked like an ancient divine bird with a golden divine flame burning in its eyes, appeared in the air. The moment it appeared, it attracted many gazes. At this moment, the demon blood vulture descended while carrying Xiaochen. Xiaochen had just jumped off the demon blood vulture's back when he heard the sound of wind blowing. 2 figures stood on the grass and looked at him. These 2 had scarlet marks on their foreheads. Clearly, they were cultivators from the White Marsh Beast Empire. Although they were young, they were late-stage holy venerates. So, it is a friend from the Divine Dragon Empire. This humble self is the White Marsh Beast Empire's rank 6 noble clan, Qinshaozi. The person on the left wore alternating blue and white robes. He had a pale complexion and handsome features. He performed a cupped fist salute and introduced himself to Xiaochen. A rank 6 noble clan did not refer to a rank 6 faction. Although they were similar, there were still some differences. The White Marsh Beast Empire ranked noble clans by bloodline. A rank 6 noble clan was a rank 6 Great Desolate Aeon bloodline. Aside from the royal by clan, there were 4 rank 6 noble clans in the empire. Xiao Qin knew some simple information about the White Marsh Beast Empire. He performed a cupped fist salute and said, "Heaven Dragon Palace, Xiao Qin." Chen Xiaoza went straight to the point. He looked at Xiao Qin and asked, "Brother Xiao, are you here for the 5-colored divine lightning as well?" Xiao Qin nodded slightly, not denying it. Nearly all the experts of the Thunder Dao under the Divine Vein realm in the White Marsh Beast Empire are here. Brother Xiao, what do you think your chances of victory are? Chen Xiaoza asked indifferently, revealing a disdainful smile. The reason why Thundercloud Ancient Marsh forbade Divine Vein realm cultivators from coming was not because Thundercloud Ancient Marsh forbade them from coming. However, the 5-element divine lightning appearing on the propping mulberry tree was only a possibility. The chances were very low, and it was not guaranteed. There was more than one place in the Central Great Realm that had a chance of giving birth to the 5-element divine lightning. Occasionally, news of the 5-element divine lightning appeared. Many people went over when they heard the news but returned disappointed. Gradually, the Divine Vein Realm Thunder Dao cultivators no longer felt as tempted by the news of the 5-element divine lightning as they did in the beginning. After all, the time of a Divine Vein Realm sovereign emperor was much more valuable than that of a sovereign personage. After all, it would be a huge loss if they wasted their efforts. Even sovereign personages were rather calm about the news of the 5-element divine lightning, not taking it too seriously. For example, Xiao Qin only came with hope. He would not be surprised if the 5-element divine lightning did not appear. Brother Xiao, this demon blood vulture is pretty good. Are you interested in selling it? The man on Chen Xiaoza's right suddenly asked as the two chatted casually. Not yet. You have not even heard my offer. How can you not be interested? Since when did the disciples of the Dragon's Gate's Heaven Dragon Palace become so arrogant? That person saw that Xiao Chen was of a mixed blood dragon bloodline and wanted to seek trouble with him, so he was very interested in this demon blood vulture. After all, this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Strength reigned supreme. Many times, even if there was a conflict, it would not be useful to report it to the sect. If one was not as skilled as the other, there was no need to say anything. Although the Divine Dragon Empire and the White Marsh Beast Empire were allies on the surface, these small frictions did not bother them. The major characters of both sides could not be bothered with it. Brother Xiao, state your offer, Chen Xiaoza, who was at the side, said in support. Chen Xiaoza, who was at the side, chimed in. Actually, the demon blood vulture had attracted the two over. When they saw that Xiao Chen was only a middle-stage holy venerate and a disciple of the Heaven Dragon Palace, they started to have some ill intentions. Xiao Chen's heart was as clear as a mirror. He smiled coldly and said expressionlessly, "Although my demon blood vulture is somewhat foolish, it is not for sale. Please return." What if I do not return? Chen Xiaoza revealed a smile that did not seem like a smile. His eyes clearly showed mockery. Clearly, he did not take Xiao Chen's warning seriously. In that case, scram. Xiao Chen, who had already lost his patience, suddenly stepped forward and took a step forward. When Xiao Chen took the step, his peak aura instantly surged out. The vast dragon might instantly suppress the two of them. The expressions of Chen Xiaoza and his companion changed drastically at the same time, showing some disbelief. The aura that Xiao Chen erupted with actually rivaled that of a sovereign personage, immediately suppressing the two who had underestimated him. Before Chen Xiaoza could react, he saw a fist light appear in front of him. Caught off guard, Chen Xiaoza circulated his veritable essence energy and charged forward. Bang! 100 cauldron force instantly exploded. How could the veritable essence energy that Chen Xiaoza circulated in a hurry block 100 cauldron force? Chen Xiaoza vomited a mouthful of blood as he went flying back like a sandbag. The person who offered to buy the demon blood vulture paled in fright. Then he turned and fled. However, that person had just taken 2 steps when he felt a shadow encasing him. When he looked back, the demon blood vulture stomped on him. That person immediately let out a miserable shriek as all the bones in his body broke. Feeling somewhat unsatisfied, the demon blood vulture wanted to swallow this fellow up. To think that he dared to target this great me. He is truly reckless. Mentioning the word cell would be tearing at the demon blood vulture's scars. Back then, the demon blood vulture's cheap father sold it to Xiao Chen for 100 years without any room for resistance. Don't eat me. Don't eat me. I'm not a demonic Dao cultivator. I don't have a demonic nature. The White Marsh Beast Empire cultivator, who was already in the demon blood vulture's mouth, was so frightened that his body went limp. He loudly begged for mercy, letting the other hidden cultivators see this scene. This demon blood vulture did not just look pretty on the outside, but it was also very powerful. Xiao Chen waved his hand to stop them. Just toss it further away. Chapter 1996. They were all here to try their luck and see if they could encounter the 5 elements divine lightning. Yu Yuanliang said indifferently, no need. No matter what, it's not our turn to worry. The one who should be worried was old Devil Chin. His 2 subordinates were thrown out. Judging from his tone, I don't think he can bear it. Besides, the 5 elements divine lightning might not even appear. There's no need to make enemies for yourself. Second uncle, what should we do? The middle-aged man's name was Qin Yun. He was a direct descendant of the Qin clan, one of the White Marsh Beast Empire's 4 noble clans. He was also an initial perfection sovereign personage. They had been waiting for a long time. The longest had been here for almost half a month. It was impossible for them to keep waiting. The divine lightning eye had a total of 10 layers. The first layer could only send down 1 lightning tribulation, the second layer could send down 2 lightning tribulations at the same time, and the third layer could add the previous 2 layers to send down 3 lightning tribulations. As it got closer, Zhang Xian realized that it was a heaven-suspending war chariot. Boo! It's by Li Xuan. Unless they were on very good terms with each other or had promised him a great gift, they wouldn't come along. Every part was polished with divine materials that had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times. Its streamlined appearance was very eye-catching. The middle-aged man said coldly, "Useless things, I told you to check out the situation and see if you can form an alliance. You 2 brats actually had ideas about other people's magic pets. You've lost all face. Just stay here and don't go out and cause trouble." The lightning attribute in the entire Thundercloud Ancient Marsh was very active and dense. Although there was slightly more fire attribute here, it did not affect the fact that the lightning attribute existed. Time slowly passed. No one knew when the propping mulberry tree would arrive. Apart from the Thundercloud Ancient Marsh, there were very few other places where so many Thunder Dao experts gathered. He said that in a few years, his name would shake the northern region and become the true leader of the White Marsh Beast Empire. When he thought about the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning in his mind, he felt somewhat depressed. It was clearly a heaven-defying existence. In the previous epoch, the Thunder Immortal Ancestor was in charge of the Tribulation Lightning Ancestor. However, he could not use all of it. Just as he finished speaking, something strange happened. The ground of the desolate grassland suddenly split open. They all knew very well what it meant to possess a 3-star heaven-suspending war chariot. The divine lightning eye had been stuck at the 4th layer for a very long time. It was time to break through the bottleneck and reach the 5th layer. Xiao Chen temporarily forgot about the 5-element divine lightning and the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning that the Thunder Immortal Ancestor left behind. He remained calm and let the surrounding cultivators probe him. At the 4th stage, one could superimpose the previous 3 stages and send down 6 lightning tribulations. Chen Xiaozi said uneasily. Who would have thought that Bai Lishuan would actually come? At the same time, there were 2 figures hiding in the dark on the prairie. When one of them saw Bai Lishuan's arrival, he had a bad feeling. Anyone who could advance to sovereign personage would be considered an expert, no matter where they were. He wore a purple robe with a white jade belt around his waist. His appearance was delicate and handsome, and there were 3 blood-colored marks between his eyebrows, forming a special symbol. Xiao Chun calmed his heart and entered deep thought. Then he focused on cultivating the divine lightning eye. An ear-piercing whistling sound came from the sky. Everyone looked towards the source of the sound and saw a blurry black dot at the end of their vision. If only Xiao Chen's firmament's rage could link to the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning like the divine lightning eye. Even the first palace master's firmament's rage would be inferior to Xiao Chen's. No one in the entire divine dragon empire could compare. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows said, "As long as no divine vein expert appears, I am confident of obtaining this 5-element divine lightning." However, the White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators were very familiar with this symbol. These two people were the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows and the White Marsh Beast Empire cultivator with the flying dragon snake. Such speed startled everyone. Even a peak initial perfection sovereign personage would not be faster than this. They started hunting ferocious beasts in this desolate plain, searching for hidden mutated fruits. A 3-star heaven-suspending war chariot was already the peak personal war chariot that the Pirate Alliance sold. Above that was a warship. Even in the central great realm, where there were many geniuses, only a few could comprehend a great Tao. After all, the 5-element divine lightning was too ethereal, a waste of time. Old Devil Chin showed a somewhat grave expression. Who knew what he was thinking? The middle-aged man on the thunder vulture suddenly opened his eyes. Immediately, his thunderous gaze landed on the two. Aside from these two teams, there were 4 stronger Thunder Dao cultivators from the White Marsh Beast Empire and some loose cultivators from Thundercloud City's vicinity. Once one broke through to the 5th layer, it would be a huge breakthrough. One would be able to send down 12 lightning tribulations at the same time. Suddenly, the roof of the war chariot opened on both sides. A throne with a white marsh beast snake carved on it slowly rose. Bai Lishuan leaped down and looked at the surrounding White Marsh Beast Empire cultivators. Then, he nodded slightly without saying anything. Several of the White Marsh Beast Empire's people immediately recognized this purple-clad youth. He was the royal clan's outstanding talent, Bai Lishuan. An initial perfection sovereign personage companion stood beside Bai Lishuan, a helper that Bai Lishuan had invited. Should we deal with this fellow? Although his cultivation is low, he is skilled in the physical body and vital qi. That demon blood vulture is somewhat strange as well. We might have a chance. Only relying on the divine lightning eye magic ability to bring out its might was truly a waste. The middle-aged man said, Bai Lishuan will definitely not come alone. He definitely has someone protecting him. Furthermore, there is that demonic Dao expert hiding somewhere. You can forget about the fight for the 5-element divine lightning this time. It is probably impossible. A purple-patterned electric python coiled around this person. He was an initial perfection sovereign personage, possessing extremely terrifying strength. Even without the 5-element divine lightning, these Thunder Dao cultivators could observe the propping mulberry tree's tribulation, making this trip worthwhile. This was a famous rising talent of the royal clan. He was not even 20 years old, but he was already a holy venerate. Everyone knew that the propping mulberry tree was about to appear. That 3-star heaven suspending war chariot looked like the underworld ghost bird. However, it did not have the underworld ghost bird's ability to move between reality and illusion. The various experts in the surroundings, both in the open and in the dark, all felt nervous. It was already something to flaunt for ordinary people to possess a 1-star heaven suspending war chariot. Anyone who could possess a 3-star heaven suspending war chariot would definitely have an extraordinary status. On this particular day, when night was about to fall, sitting cross-legged on the demon blood vulture, Xiao Chun closed his eyes and cultivated. His entire body flickered with a purple light and sparks as he got on the war chariot. Right now, Xiao Chen's only disadvantage over those demonic geniuses was his young age. However, this was also his greatest advantage. His potential was even more terrifying. Everyone present, including Yu Yuanliang and the Chen clan's old Devil Chen, showed somewhat grave expressions. Helpless, old Devil Chen could only bring some juniors of his clan to form a formation and fight together. That way, They could suppress an initial perfection sovereign personage. Many people felt bored. It's a 3-star heaven suspending war chariot. What fast speed? Old Devil Chen glanced at it and ignored it. He said indifferently, "Why are you panicking? This 5-element divine lightning does not belong to the royal clan." Since he did not say anything, he clearly does not intend to use his status as a member of the royal clan to suppress us. There is no need to care about it. However, this time, Old Devil Chen did not bring any companions. Not everyone was willing to make a trip to Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. Even in the 4 dynasties, as long as one advanced to sovereign personage, one could obtain a noble title and enjoy the protection of the dynasty's luck. What's wrong? The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows asked when he noticed the strangeness of the people around him. After chasing away the 2 white Marsh Beast Empire cultivators who came to cause trouble, Xiaochen ignored the many mental energy cultivators who came to scout the situation. As the throne appeared, a young man sat on it. A team of 2 initial perfection sovereign personages was considered a strong existence. No one came over to challenge them. On the other side, Chen Xiaoze and his companions stumbled back to their team. Then, they said to a middle-aged man seated cross-legged on a thunder vulture, "Second uncle, you have to seek justice for us. That mixed-blood dragon actually dared to attack our Chen clan's people?" Although Chen Xiaoze said that, he still felt somewhat nervous in his heart. After all, this was Bai Lishuan, whom the royal clan's upper echelon had high hopes for. However, before this ear-piercing whistle faded away, a blurry black dot appeared before everyone in the next moment. They only hoped that the 5-element divine lightning would not appear this time. That way, it would be good for everyone, and they could not be bothered to fight over it. They could use this opportunity to cultivate properly. Of course, if they wanted to become a marquis like the Soaring Dragon Marquis, relying on initial perfection sovereign personage would not work. This was the Old Devil Chen that Yu Yuanliang mentioned. This fellow. To think that he is cultivating here. This person's talent was even more terrifying than the strongest demonic geniuses of the White Marsh Beast Empire. This person's name was Yu Yuanyang, a famous Thunder Dao expert in the White Marsh Beast Empire. When a middle-aged White Marsh Beast Empire cultivator on the desolate savannah saw this scene, he felt incredulous. The sky and ground shook, and space fluctuated intensely. All sorts of mysterious phenomena appeared in the sky. This was the mark of the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan, the mark of the White Marsh Beast Empire's rank 7 royal bloodline, which surpassed the 4 rank 6 noble clans. Cultivating here would yield twice the result with half the effort. Waiting was a kind of torture. Few could be as calm as Xiaochen. At this important moment, he entered a state where he forgot about everything else and focused on cultivating. Now, with every breakthrough, his might multiplied. It was extremely horrifying. Hence, the bottleneck was extremely difficult to overcome. Chapter 1997. Xiaochen, who was on the demon blood vulture's back, also felt this fluctuation. He slowly startled awake from his forgetfulness and opened his eyes. Electric light flickered in Xiaochen's eyes, giving birth to purple electricity. Crackling sounds rang out endlessly. The many cultivators on the desolate plain soared into the air and quickly spread out. No one could predict when the lightning tribulation would descend after the propping mulberry tree appeared. Avoiding it in advance was undoubtedly a good choice, avoiding the risk and waiting for an opportunity to strike. Even the White Marsh Beast Empires by Lishuan boarded the 3-star Heavens Suspending War Chariot and quickly retreated. With the 3-star Heavens Suspending War Chariot, Bai Lishuan had an advantage in speed. He moved nimbly, moving like the wind and berserk like lightning. Originally, Bai Lishuan planned to exit his state of cultivation and retreat with the others before dealing with Xiaochen. However, he was somewhat shocked to discover that when the mysterious phenomena appeared, strong winds accompanied lightning, and the thunderclouds in the sky scattered, the lightning-attributed spiritual energy became exceptionally lively. The thunder-attribute spiritual chi was abnormally active, reaching a state that was completely impossible in normal times. A good opportunity. He looked up into the sky and saw a mirror-like screen of light in the sky. It looked like a lake was hanging upside down in the sky. Occasionally, ripples spread out, looking very strange. Xiaochen closed his eyes again, grabbing hold of this rare opportunity to absorb the lightning-attributed spiritual energy in the air. The sealed 10,000 tribulation divine lightning in the depths of Xiaochen's sea of consciousness moved continuously, cracks appearing in it. Boom, boom, boom. Thunder roared in Xiaochen's sea of consciousness. Before the propping mulberry tree arrived, Xiaochen underwent his tribulation in his sea of consciousness. As the lightning-attributed energy surged out, his entire sea of consciousness turned into a golden sea of lightning. Bang! Right at this moment, a tree branch suddenly stretched out from the ground. In the next moment, countless tree branches struggled out of the ground. No one knew when they would end. Propping mulberry tree. Many people could not help exclaiming when they saw such a majestic scene. After the time it took to brew a pot of tea, the tree branches that struggled out of the ground were already lush, looking like a green castle on the ground. However, the propping mulberry tree's main trunk still had not appeared. It was hard to imagine just how majestic this propping mulberry tree was. From the looks of it, it was comparable to a mountain range. The lush sea of branches was about to swallow Xiaochen. Once trapped, it would be troublesome to get out. When the lightning tribulation descended, the consequences would be unimaginable. At the critical moment, Xiaochen suddenly opened his eyes. In his right eye, the 12 violet leaves spun endlessly. The world in his eye was deep and boundless. Beyond the 12 violet leaves, there seemed to be no end. Shio. With a thought, the 12 purple leaves suddenly condensed into a complete purple leaf flower, appearing before Xiaochen's eyes. At the same time, the raging sea of lightning in his sea of consciousness calmed down. The divine lightning eye had reached the 5th layer. Go! Xiaochen looked behind him. Then, he turned the demon blood vulture back into a ring and put it on his finger. Activating the light of freedom, he transformed into a bright bolt of lightning and charged forward. Under the light screen, this bolt of lightning was extremely conspicuous. When the surrounding cultivators saw this scene, they were all astonished. What's going on? Before the propping mulberry tree appeared, the lightning tribulation already descended? No, that's not right. That bolt of lightning has an aura of life. It seems to be the incarnation of a cultivator. He is using this opportunity to cultivate. Who is so bold? If he is not careful, he will be consigned to eternal damnation, falling here. Even Bai Lishuan could not help looking at that bolt of lightning. He sighed softly in his heart, finding it strange. Bai Lishuan had also noticed the dense lightning-attributed light under the light screen that looked like an upside-down lake in the sky. Bai Lishuan had also thought of using this opportunity to break through some bottlenecks. However, when he thought of the consequences, this thought only appeared for a second. In the next moment, he calmly interrupted it. To think that someone really dared to do this. Bai Lishuan had to view this person in a different light. Boom! Right at this moment, a deafening clap of thunder resounded through the heavens and the earth, and everyone was stunned. Everyone felt their senses turn chaotic in that instant. They did not know if they were shaking or if the world was shaking. The entire world turned blurry. After Xiaochen, who was the closest, appeared, he immediately vomited a mouthful of blood. While everyone was bewildered, they were shocked to discover a ripple in the vast water-like light screen in the sky. A bolt of tribulation lightning descended, heading for the propping mulberry tree that had yet to fully appear. This was a bona fide lightning tribulation. That person triggered the lightning tribulation in advance. Everyone looked at the propping mulberry tree with extremely grave expressions. Before the propping mulberry tree fully appeared, it had already encountered a lightning tribulation. Such a change had never happened in the past tens of thousands of years. No one knew what the consequences of such a change would be. As for Xiaochen, no one cared about him anymore, as he was already a dead man. Xiaochen's expression changed drastically. He had not completely extricated himself yet, not as far as the other cultivators. He was still within the range of the lightning tribulation. If the lightning tribulation descended and the shock waves swept over, the consequences would be unimaginable. The lightning tribulation before Xiao Chen was prepared for the propping mulberry tree. It was not something he could endure at his level. This person is going to die, old Devilchin said softly with a grave expression. This person is going to die, old Devilchin said softly with a grave expression. Qin Shaozi exclaimed in shock. Really? He overestimated himself, trying to use this opportunity to break through his bottleneck. However, he overreached and ended up getting himself killed. When Yu Yuanliang, who was on the purple mark lightning python, saw this scene, he also said leisurely, "How unfortunate." Bai Lishuan, who was on the heavens suspending war chariot, sighed softly. Such a courageous person was about to disappear. This was truly regrettable. When the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows saw Xiao Chen under the light screen, he could not suppress the excitement in his heart. He laughed maniacally. Ha! Good. That brat was finally going to die. As long as that brat died. As long as that fellow dies, even if I do not obtain the 5-element divine lightning, this trip was not in vain. Delightful. Ha! Upon seeing the incredibly excited mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, the middle-aged cultivator at the side felt very suspicious. This Mr. Gong had always been mysterious and unfathomable, rarely showing any emotional fluctuations. To think that he lost control of his emotions for that white-clad person. How strange. I wonder what grudge he has with Mr. Gong? Boom. Before everyone's eyes, the first bolt of tribulation lightning suddenly fell. A loud sound rang out, and the tribulation lightning turned into a piercing white light, dazzling everyone's eyes. When everyone opened their eyes again, the propping mulberry tree's lush branches were not affected much. However, that white-clad youth was nowhere to be seen, and no life force leaked out. What a miserable death. Not even dregs remain. Ah, that is a lightning tribulation prepared for the propping mulberry tree. Even a divine vein realm sovereign emperor would not dare to enter its range. Given such a situation, there was naturally only one result. The shock waves of the lightning tribulation instantly blasted the white-clad youth into oblivion. His soul and physical body turned to dust at the same time. Boom. As the first bolt of tribulation lightning fell, the vast and boundless light screen in the sky started to rain down all sorts of tribulation lightning. All sorts of tribulation lightning began to fall. Every bolt of tribulation lightning caused one's heart to skip a beat and their souls to tremble. Such a scene was extremely exciting for Thunder Dao cultivators. The Thunder Dao cultivators' bloodlines swelled up. The power of the Heavenly Dao's lightning was completely unleashed at this moment, revealing its most ferocious side. This was the ultimate pursuit of Thunder Dao cultivators. Just think about it, if one day one only needed to grasp 1% of this power, not to mention being unrivaled in the world, one would have no problem dominating a region. The Thunder Dao. This was the might of the Thunder Dao. Before this majestic lightning tribulation, the propping mulberry tree, which originally gave off a huge, luxuriant, and majestic feeling, seemed insignificant. The world lost its color under the thousands of tribulation lightning bolts. The propping mulberry tree was like a weak child. The tribulation lightning was like the Heavenly Dao's merciless whip, lashing down mercilessly. The branches and leaves scattered, looking like blood flying out. However, that weak child was incomparably stubborn. In front of the misty heavenly might, he didn't even flinch. Before this vast heavenly might, the propping mulberry tree rose continuously, proudly spreading out its branches and leaves, slowly rising into the ground. It showed no fear, not shrinking back at all. It faced the thousands of tribulation lightning bolts with its head held high. Every single cultivator of the Way of Thunder benefited greatly from this shocking scene. Their hearts were filled with excitement and excitement. Even if the 5-element divine lightning did not appear, this trip would not have been in vain. It was worth it. As for Xiao Chen, everyone had already forgotten about him after seeing such a majestic scene. Chapter 1998. Everyone thought that Xiao Chen was dead. However, was Xiao Chen really dead? Naturally not. If this lightning tribulation struck Xiao Chen, no matter how many trump cards he had, he would not have survived. However, if it were just the shock waves, be it activating his great desolate Ian bloodline, executing Dermic World, or using the life-saving Heaven Dragon talisman that the first palace master gave him, Xiao Chen could avoid death. Of course, he could not avoid being severely injured. However, Xiao Chen did not use any of these trump cards. Before Xiao Chen could use them, a tree branch shot out and wrapped around him. Just as the lightning tribulation was about to land, the tree branch pulled him into the lush leaves. This force was so vast that Xiao Chen could not block it at all. He felt the world spin around him, and space turned blurry. When Xiao Chen woke up, he discovered himself in a mysterious space. This space was incredibly hot. Dense fire-attributed energy spread in the air. The surrounding walls were incredibly hard, looking like fiery red rocks with smooth patterns. However, when one touched them, one would feel that they were not rocks. As Xiao Chen walked along the path, he felt somewhat dizzy. As he walked around, he discovered that this place was like a maze. As for Xiao Chen's spiritual sense, it was completely obstructed, unable to move 1 meter away from him. Just as Xiao Chen was preparing to use force to break through the four walls, a shout came from behind him. Haha! What are you trying to do? Do you think that you can break through 10,000-year-old divine wood? This startled Xiao Chen. When he turned his head back, a familiar face appeared before him. He exclaimed in shock, "Sang?" The youth who appeared before Xiao Chen was the strange youth, Sang, whom he had interacted with for some time. "That's me." Sang nodded slightly and revealed his identity. "If not for me, how could I have saved you?" Xiao Chen immediately understood. After entering deep thought, he looked at Sang and said, "In that case, you are the propping mulberry tree?" Xiao Chen had long felt that this youth was somewhat strange. He was young, but his life force accumulations were exceptionally vast. Xiao Chen also knew Thundercloud Ancient Marsh like the back of his hand. Not only could he easily find herbs to suppress the poison, but he could also predict the appearance of blood-sucking vines. He also knew the location of the propping mulberry tree's tribulation. Now that the other party had reappeared in front of him, everything became clear. Yes and no. I inherited the propping mulberry tree's memories, but I obtained my own physical body only in the past 10 years. You can think of me as the soul of the propping mulberry tree, although I'm not, but you can understand it this way. It's too complicated for you to understand. Sang clearly did not want to explain too much. Fortunately, Xiao Chen did not care about this. Where am I now? Inside the propping mulberry tree. Xiao Chen asked doubtfully, "Isn't the propping mulberry tree undergoing a tribulation? Why is there no reaction at all?" Naturally, there is no reaction. This is the root of the propping mulberry tree. It is still buried in the ground and has yet to appear. This is all thanks to you. If not for you attracting the lightning tribulation in advance, the propping mulberry tree would not have to face the tribulation before its main trunk appeared. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, Xiao Chen said somewhat apologetically, "Sorry about that." Sang waved his hand and said, "It's fine. Fortune comes with misfortune. This is both a good and a bad thing. The propping mulberry tree has never undergone a tribulation like this before. If it can really clear this tribulation, it will definitely be reborn and rise to the next level." Sang showed a calm expression. He appeared very relaxed as he conversed with Xiao Chen. This puzzled Xiao Chen. "Why are you not nervous about the propping mulberry tree's tribulation at all? Based on your appearance, there is no need to worry about it. From your appearance, it seems like you will remain indifferent even if it fails the tribulation." Sang replied softly, "That is natural. Right now, I can leave the propping mulberry tree and live on my own, pursuing the martial god Dao. Although my cultivation can advance rapidly in the propping mulberry tree, it will not last long. I will have to leave sooner or later. However, I personally hope that it can successfully clear this tribulation. Otherwise, it will not be good if other problems appear." "What problems?" Xiao Chen recalled that before Sang left the demon blood vulture, He said that the propping mulberry tree's tribulation would be somewhat troublesome. However, when Xiaochen asked Sang about it, Sang did not answer him, leaving directly. I can't tell you now. Sang looked at Xiaochen and asked, what do you plan to do now? If you want to leave, I can send you off. If you want to experience the propping mulberry tree's lightning tribulation from inside, I can bring you in to observe it. However, it will be somewhat dangerous. After thinking for a while, Xiaochen chose the latter. The people outside might think that he died. Xiaochen might as well stay here and observe the lightning tribulation from the propping mulberry tree's perspective. After making his choice, Sang said softly, come with me. The surroundings were like a maze, unusually hot and dry. Xiaochen followed closely behind, not daring to be careless. If he got careless and lost Sang, he might end up trapped here. The interior of the propping mulberry tree was a strange great world. It was a vast wasteland with rivers and lakes formed by tree sap. There were even some flaming spirit birds living in it. The two of them climbed up the spirit beasts one after another. An hour later, Xiaochen and Sang finally sensed the shocking might of thunder. Lord Sang, I will take my leave. The Thunderfire's spirit eagle carrying the two spoke in the human language. Go down and prepare yourself. The situation could change at any time. I know. When only the two of them were left, Sang tapped lightly in front of them. Suddenly, the view in front of them became clear. If they raised their heads, they would be able to see the scenery outside the divine tree. Bolts of tribulation lightning continued to fall. From this angle, it looked like the lightning tribulation had fallen on him, and he could feel the might of the lightning tribulation. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he was there. Xiaochen found it difficult to breathe. Fear spread in his heart. It took him a moment to stabilize his mind. On the other hand, Sang remained incredibly calm. He had already started observing and seriously comprehending. Xiaochen did not dare to miss this opportunity. He focused and carefully observed. At the same time, he secretly drove the 10,000 tribulation divine lightning sealed in his sea of consciousness. Xiaochen vaguely sensed that this was an excellent opportunity to make a breakthrough in the divine lightning eye. If he missed it, it would be hard to get another opportunity. Perhaps he could use this opportunity to make another breakthrough in the divine lightning eye. His thunder Dao could also improve further. At the same time, outside, by Li Xuan, Yuan Liang, Old Devil Chen, and the other experts were also observing the lightning tribulation, carefully comprehending it. They were all experts of the thunder Dao. They would not easily let go of this rare opportunity to observe. However, in terms of practical effects, Xiaochen inside the divine tree was 100 times better than them. The watery light screen in the sky became as smooth as a mirror. The range it radiated became increasingly wider. Under the brilliant thunder might, the huge propping mulberry tree endured wave after wave of tribulation lightning. Finally, its trunk came out. The tribulation lightning contained horrifying destruction, profound mysteries. The tribulation lightning continuously broke the thick tree branches. The propping mulberry tree leaves danced chaotically in the lightning storm. Occasionally, tree sap splattered into the air. It looked like blood splattered in the air. Many people felt pity when they saw this. This was the divine tree's essence, a priceless treasure. However, no one here dared to run into the lightning tribulation's range to snatch the divine tree's essence. The sun rose and set. After 3 days, the propping mulberry tree's lightning tribulation still had not passed, continuing endlessly. If it were a cultivator's lightning tribulation, lasting half a day would already be considered an anomaly. However, to the propping mulberry tree, which had lived for countless years, a 3-day lightning tribulation was very ordinary. Sometimes, the lightning tribulation could even last for half a month. The propping mulberry tree's life force accumulation was incomparable to a cultivator's. Naturally, the lightning tribulation could not compare. During these 3 days, everyone benefited a lot, feeling that their thunder Dao improved. However, in terms of who improved the most, it naturally had to be Xiaochen. Xiaochen was inside the propping mulberry tree, feeling like he was undergoing a tribulation himself. Boom! On this day, Xiaochen opened his eyes. 24 purple petals appeared in his deep and vast right eye. When the petals gathered, they formed an incredibly beautiful purple flower. The divine lightning eye reached the 6th layer. Sang, who stood across Xiaochen, revealed a brilliant light in his eyes. He said seriously, "No wonder you wanted to take the risk to comprehend it previously. This secret technique of yours is probably closely related to the tribulation lightning. Unexpectedly, you actually made another breakthrough in a short 3 days. This is truly surprising." The purple flower scattered, and Xiaochen said softly, "If not for you giving me this opportunity, I would not have been able to break through so quickly." In the past, Xiaochen would not even have dared to dream of breaking through to the 2nd layer of the divine lightning eye in a short few days. However, being inside the propping mulberry tree was equivalent to undergoing a tribulation together with the tree, giving Xiaochen this opportunity. Sang was about to say something when his expression suddenly changed. He sighed softly, "The 5-element divine lightning that you want is here." Startled, Xiaochen looked up. Then he saw a light screen that looked like an upside-down lake in the sky. Different lights appeared in the north, south, east, and west, each giving off circular ripples. When the ripples clashed, the entire world trembled intensely. The 5-element divine lightning appeared. Chapter 1999. It appeared. The moment the mysterious phenomenon in the light screen in the sky appeared, it immediately attracted the attention of all the cultivators outside. 5 clumps of light of different colors appeared in 5 different directions on the light screen. There was the scarlet heptagold divine lightning, the azure greenwood divine lightning, the red fire divine lightning, the blue-gray water divine lightning, and the black earth filth divine lightning. Metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, the 5 elements gathered. Bai Lishuan, the White Marsh Beast Empire's royal clan disciple, exclaimed softly in shock. Surprise flashed in Bai Lishuan's eyes. He had been observing the propping mulberry tree's tribulation in this desolate savanna for 3 days. He had already immersed himself in it, forgetting his purpose in coming here. The mysterious phenomenon of the lake-like light screen startled Bai Lishuan awake. Then wild joy filled his heart. 5-element divine lightning. It really appeared. The 5-element divine lightning that could only be found and not sought actually appeared during the propping mulberry tree's tribulation. Bai Lishuan glanced at the surrounding people. Then he swept his gaze across Old Devil Chin and Yu Yuanliang. These two posed the greatest threat here. They were both small perfection sovereign personages and famous Thunder Dao experts in the White Marsh Beast Empire. When he was young, the two of them had already made a name for themselves. When he was very young, he had heard of their talent in the way of lightning. However, time was merciless. These two's talent was limited. In the end, they stopped at initial perfection sovereign personage. Xiaochen had caught up from behind. Although his current cultivation was not high, only mid-stage holy venerate, he no longer feared these two people. Of course, it was obviously impossible for him to defeat the two of them by himself. Furthermore, the two of them were not alone. They both had helpers. "Uncle Qin, help me later." However, the confidence on Bai Lishuan's face did not diminish at all as he sent a voice projection. "Young master, don't worry. This 5-element divine lightning will definitely be young master's. No one here is a match for this old man." Xiaochen sent a voice projection in reply to Bai Lishuan. Bai Lishuan nodded to himself, feeling that it was a pity. Had he known that the 5-element divine lightning would appear, he would have sent a divine vein realm sovereign emperor of the royal clan with him. Let the royal clan's divine vein realm sovereign emperors travel together. That way, success would be in the bag, with practically no accidents. However, it was not too much of a pity. Who could have imagined that the 5-element divine lightning would appear? Uncle Qin alone was enough to hold the fort. "Uncle Qin, don't show yourself at the critical moment. I feel that there are still some people hiding in the dark." I felt it too. "It's fine. With me here, the 5-element divine lightning will not be lost." Hidden in the darkness, the man shrouded in bloody shadows revealed an extremely excited expression. He even felt like laughing out loud. Life was nothing more than this. His most hated enemy was already dead, not even a speck of him was left. The treasure he needed the most had appeared at this crucial moment. It was truly a blessing from the heavens. Gong Xianxing, stabilize your emotions, don't get discovered. The pale-faced middle-aged man said with some dissatisfaction. The man shrouded in bloody shadows sneered and said, "So be it. Anyone who dares to stop me from obtaining the 5 elements divine lightning will die." Sensing the cold, murderous intent in his words, as well as his strong confidence, the pale middle-aged man was slightly fearful. The middle-aged man said thoughtfully, "When will we make our move later?" The man shrouded in bloody shadows looked at the 5 kinds of divine lightning slowly gathering in the sky and said, "Soon, the heptagold divine lightning, the greenwood divine lightning, the 10th water divine lightning, the 3rd fire divine lightning, and the earth filth divine lightning will merge into one, forming the true 5-element divine lightning." After the propping mulberry tree withstands this wave of 5-element divine lightning, the 5-element divine lightning will definitely scatter. At that time, whoever has the strongest thunder Tao will be able to attract the most divine lightning. At that time, act according to the situation and protect me. The man shrouded in bloody shadows revealed strong confidence in his thunder Tao. The pale middle-aged man entered deep thought. What if the propping mulberry tree cannot withstand this tribulation? The man shrouded in bloody shadows felt stunned. He had not considered this problem before. He shook his head and said, "That should not happen. The propping mulberry tree is very old. It should be able to withstand it." Although the man shrouded in bloody shadows said that, he was not very confident. Before the propping mulberry tree could fully stretch out, the lightning tribulation descended in advance. The current situation was obviously weaker than any other time in the past. Whether the propping mulberry tree could withstand the 5-element divine lightning was a question. If the propping mulberry tree could not withstand it, no one would dare to rashly absorb the complete 5-element divine lightning before it scattered. One could only absorb it one by one, splitting the thunder might of the tribulation lightning before merging the 5 elements into one, perfectly merging them. The pale middle-aged man was very knowledgeable and would not ask questions for no reason. At the same time, the White Marsh Beast Empire's Chen clan elder, Chen Yun, showed an extremely grave expression. It really appeared. Chen Shaozi, who was at the side, whispered, "Second uncle, are we really going to snatch it? Bai Lishuan is here. If we offend the royal clan..." "Humph." Chen Yun snorted coldly. "Why not? If the clan head were here, he would definitely support my decision. Offending this Bai Lishuan for the 5-element divine lightning is completely worth it. We can give up everything else, but we cannot give up the 5-element divine lightning." This Bai Lishuan is very clear about this. He is not using his status as a royal clan member to suppress others. "What are you afraid of?" Chen Shaozi, who was lectured, lowered his head and answered, "Prepare yourselves and form a formation at any time to protect me. The Thunder Tao." Determination flashed in Chen Yun's eyes. After the propping mulberry tree withstood the tribulation lightning and weakened the 5-element divine lightning's might, scattering it. At that time, it would be a competition of whose Thunder Great Tao was stronger and whose understanding of the Thunder Tao was deeper. They released their Thunder Tao might. Whoever was stronger would have the opportunity to absorb the 5-element divine lightning into their body. This was not a competition of strength but the Thunder Tao. Chen Yun had diligently cultivated the Thunder Tao for more than 100 years. Back then, he was also an outstanding talent of the Thunder Tao. Hence, he had a special feeling for the Thunder Tao. He did not believe that he could not compare to the others here. The Thunder Tao experts all held their breaths and focused, storing up power in secret, waiting for the situation to develop. When the 5 elements merged and the tribulation lightning descended, inside the propping mulberry tree, Sang said somewhat worriedly, "This is problematic. I'm not sure if the propping mulberry tree can withstand this 5-element divine lightning." This was the first time Xiao Chen saw Sang showing such a worried expression. This meant that the situation had reached an extremely thorny stage. What if it cannot withstand it? Sang rolled his eyes and asked, what if you fail the tribulation? Of course, the consequences of failing the tribulation would be dire. The usual outcome was death. Even if one did not die, one would be crippled. Xiao Chen said somewhat awkwardly, could it be because of me? Xiao Chen already sensed that the propping mulberry tree had a hard time enduring the lightning tribulation early. Right now, it was already much weaker. The 3 days of lightning tribulation had significantly injured it. If not for it being a divine tree, it would have turned to dust long ago. Fate has already been decided. It does not matter if you appear or not. Sang sighed softly. Even if the propping mulberry tree fails the tribulation, it can be reborn from the ashes and return to its original form. However, I'm afraid that there are other variables. This thundercloud ancient marsh has never been peaceful. What do you mean? Xiao Chen asked. Sang had already mentioned this problem several times but did not say anything. Sang dodged the question. The lightning tribulation is about to descend. Come down. It was already too late to leave. The 5 elements gathered in the sky, and the 5-element divine lightning revealed its true form. A 5-colored light moved around, startling the entire thundercloud ancient marsh. Even Thundercloud City, which was millions of kilometers away, saw this shocking scene. At this moment, the heavenly Tao's thunder might revealed its most ferocious and terrifying form. Bai Lishuan and the others, who were completely outside the range of the heavenly Tao's radiance, felt a deep fear. However, they did not show any intention of retreating. A crazed expression appeared in their eyes as they accumulated lightning-attributed energy at an even faster pace. All Thunder Tao cultivators had a state of arrogance in their bodies. They absolutely would not shrink back before an opportunity. They were like the lightning of nature, advancing only and not retreating. No matter how much effort they put in, only that moment of light existed. The moment the electric light flickered, the entire world would know of their existence. What was the Thunder Tao? Either live or die. All one sought was to do it vigorously. Even if one's body shattered, one did not care. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows, Bai Lishuan, Yuan Liang, Qin Yun, and the other Thunder Tao experts, all staked their Tao on the idea of winning. Chapter 2000. Just as the 5 elements gathered and the 5-element divine lightning was about to descend, however, the world was strangely silent. It was not that the thunder had disappeared. Instead, Bai Lishuan and the others were already fully focused, holding their breaths and concentrating in their world. There was only the 5-element divine lightning. Aside from that, there was nothing else. Time seemed to pass extremely slowly. 1 second felt as long as a year. Xiao Chen, who was inside the divine tree, was also making his preparations. As a Thunder Tao cultivator, Xiao Chen was also preparing. As a Thunder Tao cultivator, Xiao Chen also had a hot-blooded heart that did not care about anything else. Regardless of life or death, he would never shrink back before an opportunity. It's coming, Sang said softly. Sang said softly. Then, the 5 different attributed divine lightnings quickly intertwined in the light screen in the sky. The 5 colored lights spun continuously. They formed a huge storm whirlpool that looked like it could swallow up the world. Before this storm, the propping mulberry tree looked incredibly insignificant. At this moment, the world seemed insignificant. Everyone felt extremely nervous. Their hearts leaped to their throats, not daring to breathe loudly. Boom! Suddenly, the world before everyone's eyes turned upside down. The surrounding scenery twisted and turned blurry, continuously changing. Bai Lishuan immediately felt flustered. He quickly asked, Uncle Qin, what's wrong? Is this an illusion? Young master, don't panic. This is not an illusion. The 5 elements have already reached the level of constructing the 5 basic elements of a basic world. What fell was not a bolt of lightning but the vague form of a lightning nation. It clashed with the real world, resulting in such a mysterious phenomenon. Don't act rashly. Otherwise, only death awaits you if you get sucked in. Uncle Chin's voice turned grave. At this moment he no longer had his initial confidence. In this twisted world where space turned upside down, an extremely resplendent bolt of lightning turned into a complete lightning nation in the middle of the incredibly huge storm whirlpool. The bolt of lightning clashed with the propping mulberry tree as it charged forward. The horrifying thunder might squeezed out terrifying spatial tears in this twisted space. One could even vaguely see images of some ferocious and terrifying ferocious beasts in those cracks. It was unknown what kind of alternate space it led to. Everyone felt like they were not moving, but the scenery around them moved as if they were moving quickly. The strange scene completely blurred people's sense of direction, subverting some common sense of the world. In this strange space, the five-element divine lightning finally landed on the propping mulberry tree. The process seemed slow, but it was actually extremely fast. With a crisp sound, the distorted world in front of him shattered like glass. Turning into thousands of fragments, the distorted world suddenly disappeared. Everything returned to reality, but the surrounding terrain had completely changed. A few holes appeared in the sky, and various kinds of energy-formed waterfalls surged down from the holes. The landscape within 5,000 kilometers was completely different, looking extremely foreign. If it weren't for the propping mulberry tree, everyone would have suspected that they had been teleported to another place. Bang! Before Xiaochen could think too much, he saw the propping mulberry tree, which was much larger than a mountain range, giving off a bright light. The essence of the divine tree floated in the air, condensed into specks of light that drifted with the wind. 5 bolts of lightning of different colors burst out of the propping mulberry tree. The propping mulberry tree, which had stood tall in the lightning tribulation for 3 days, collapsed. Without any warning, the propping mulberry tree snapped in half. However, no one cared about all of this. Everyone's gazes were focused on the scattered 5-element divine lightning, whose might had weakened significantly. I cultivated bitterly for 100 years for this moment. A crazed expression appeared in Chen Yun's eyes as he roared, "Thunder Dao!" Chen Yun soared into the air, and a resplendent and dazzling Dao disk appeared behind him. He looked like a sun rising into the sky. A brilliant Dao might spread out in the world. The 5-element divine lightning immediately moved, attracted to it, and quickly surged over. "It's not that simple." Yu Yuanliang snorted coldly. Then he unleashed the Thunder Dao might that he had been preparing for a long time. The Dao disk behind Chen Yun burned like a flame. Then, it formed a Thunder Flame War God that merged with him. The Thunder Flame War God appeared solemn and dignified, looking like a Thunder Flame War God of the heavenly realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The others moved no slower than these two. They all soared into the air and unleashed their Dao might. There was only one Thunder Dao. However, everyone's understanding of the Dao might was different. All sorts of Dao might intertwined endlessly in the entire space, competing with each other for supremacy. The Heptagold Divine Lightning, Greenwood Divine Lightning, Water Divine Lightning, Fire Divine Lightning, and Earth Impure Divine Lightning all hovered strangely in the air, unable to move at all. Yu Yuanliang and the others pushed with all their might, but they could not move the 5-element Divine Lightning in their direction at all. "Ha! This era is no longer yours. It still depends on me," Bai Lixuan. Upon seeing this scene, Bai Lixuan guffawed, feeling a lofty aspiration in his heart. The 5-element divine lightning hovered in the air, unmoved by the various experts. If Xiaochen did not make a move now, when would he? "In the name of my ancestors' bloodline, come out, my Dao!" Bai Lixuan shouted, and the royal bloodline in his body surged. Then he stretched out his hand, and the pure Thunder Dao might formed a white snake with a single horn on its head. It actually condensed into an incomparably pure white snake with a single horn on its head. It was the image of the prehistoric divine beast, Bai Zhe. The moment the Thunder Dao might formed the Bai Zhe, it hovered in the air. The originally motionless 5-element divine lightning trembled continuously, slowly moving towards Bai Lixuan. "Oh no!" This greatly startled Yu Yuanliang and the others. Sweat continuously dripped down their foreheads. Everyone burned their veritable essence energy, continuously raising their Tao might. However, it was to no avail. They could only watch as the five-element divine lightning approached Bai Lishuan. Damn it! How can it be like this? Could it be that my 100 years of bitter cultivation cannot compare to a brat's? Chen Yun's qi and blood surged as he felt incredibly sullen. He could not hold it in and vomited a mouthful of blood. His complexion immediately paled. Stop struggling. Perseverance is important. However, it is not worth anything before talent. Everyone here is a Thunder Dao cultivator. My talent is clearly higher than yours. How about you help this junior? I will remember this favor. Although the five-element divine lightning inched closer to Xiaochen, these older generation Thunder Dao experts refused to give up. This resulted in the five-element divine lightning moving extremely slowly, draining veritable essence energy rapidly. Bai Lishuan found this somewhat unbearable. Ha! Everyone, don't give up. He will not be able to hold on for much longer. The older, the wiser. The sharp-eyed Yu Yuanliang immediately saw through this. He started laughing loudly, and the Thunderfire war god behind him merged further with him. Damn it! Bai Lishuan cursed. Unexpectedly, this group of people did not know how to appreciate favors. A bunch of fools. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows smiled coldly. After waiting for a long time, he finally made his move at this moment. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows moved his hands, continuously draining his great Tao energy. Then, a black lotus throne materialized under his feet. The lotus throne carried the mysterious man into the air. Then, a Thunder Dao clone of the black lotus demonic ancestor appeared in the sky. Boom! Lightning appeared on the horizon together with the black lotus demonic ancestor's terrifying Buddhist might. A world of lightning materialized behind the black lotus demonic ancestor. The horrifying Buddhist might instantly suppressed by Lishuan and the others, encasing the entire place. The expressions of Bai Lishuan and the others changed drastically. They had not expected such a situation to happen. To think that someone could successfully merge the Thunder Dao and the evil Buddha, instantly suppressing all of them. Ha! This five-element divine lightning is mine. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows on the black lotus throne laughed maniacally as he ferociously spread his hand. The incredibly huge black lotus demonic ancestor Buddha image behind him opened its palm, and electricity flickered in its palm. Then, it ferociously pushed down, trying to grab the five-element divine lightning. Uncle Qin, do it? Bai Lishuan shouted, bringing out his trump card as well. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the air. A Bai clan old man smiled coldly and said, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Step back. A terrifying sovereign will erupted from this old man's body. He was actually a terrifying late-stage sovereign personage expert. Sorry, I've been waiting for you for a long time as well. The pale, middle-aged man appeared before Uncle Qin as the flying dragon snake soared into the air. Those who block me will die. The situation turned chaotic. The pale, middle-aged man relied on the flying dragon snake's might to do his best to deal with Uncle Qin. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows fought everyone in the sky, trying to cover the sky with one hand and forcefully snatch the five-element divine lightning. Naturally, they wouldn't just sit and wait for death. A chaotic battle could break out at any moment. Inside the propping mulberry tree, where no one was paying attention to, Xiaochen supported the pale-faced Sang and fed him the thundercloud fruit. Then he poured in his veritable essence energy to prolong Sang's life. At the final moment of the five-element divine lightning, Sang, who had been relaxed all this time, could no longer hold back and finally made a move. He helped the propping mulberry tree split a portion of the lightning tribulation. Otherwise, the propping mulberry tree would have been destroyed by the five-element divine lightning on the spot. There would have been no chance to scatter the five-element divine lightning. Even so, the propping mulberry tree still snapped. Its life force was being consumed at a terrifying rate. Sang smiled with some difficulty. For the sake of the five-element divine lightning, Everyone is displaying their magic skills, fighting to the death. Why don't you go? Xiaochen took a look and shook his head slightly. I am skilled in the Saber Dao. Although my Thunder Dao is strong, there is still a gap between me and these people who specialize in the Thunder Dao. On the other hand, you clearly left the propping mulberry tree. Why are you still fighting to the death? Don't you find it very foolish? You still can't change anything. Sang said somewhat desolately, Indeed. Why are you so foolish? You still can't change anything. Don't bother about me. If you listen to me and leave now, you can still live. If you wait any longer, you will die for sure. Let's go together. Chapter 2001. Despite Sang's resistance, Xiaochen carried the other party on his back. Then, he called out the demon blood vulture and quickly flew far away. Bai Lishuan and the others were busy fighting the Black Lotus demonic ancestor, who merged with the Thunder Dao. They could not care about anything else. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows showed a grave expression. He controlled the gigantic demon hand, wanting to grab the 5-element divine lightning. Uncle Qin flew into a rage out of humiliation. An initial perfection sovereign personage relied on the flying dragon snake to hold him back, which made him extremely anxious. Uncle Qin wanted to quickly deal with this person and go help Bai Lishuan. However, this pale, middle-aged man was extremely crafty. Uncle Qin did not clash head-on with Uncle Qin, only relying on the flying dragon snake to hold him back. When the other party wanted to make a move, Uncle Qin would make a move to harass him. One had to admit that this man and snake worked very well together. They actually managed to hold back a late-stage sovereign personage expert. This could be considered a miracle. However, based on Uncle Qin's appearance, he would not last for long. Uncle Qin would be defeated sooner or later. If he did not flee at that time, only death awaited him. The four focused on executing their magic skills and did not notice Xiaochen, who was fleeing far away from the divine tree. Xiaochen got the demon blood vulture to stop only after Xiaochen was far away. He glanced at Sang, who was behind him. After consuming the thundercloud fruit, Sang's injuries had stabilized. His life was no longer in danger. The two looked into the distance, paying attention to the 5-element divine lightning's battlefield. It's coming. Sang sighed softly. A complicated expression appeared in his eyes, showing his worry. Xiaochen looked at Sang's expression and seemed to understand something. You are worried that someone will consume the propping mulberry tree? The propping mulberry tree's life origin flame was continuously fading. However, as long as no one cared, it could turn into a sapling and grow again. However, if someone targeted it, the propping mulberry tree would not be able to block them in its current state. It's not a person, Sang said softly. Before Xiaochen could figure out what was going on, he had not realized what was going on. Suddenly, thousands of scarlet soaring dragons shot out of the ground below the 5-element divine lightning. They looked like countless thin snakes, entangling each other and launching themselves at the propping mulberry tree, which was broken in half. The scarlet soaring dragon's aim was very clear. They wanted to use this moment to consume the propping mulberry tree. In the sky, the blood tendrils chased after the life essence of the propping mulberry tree, greedily absorbing it. The sudden appearance of the strange phenomenon came without any warning. Bai Lishuan and the others were startled. Countless blood springs were flying aimlessly at them. In the air, their powerful life auras were like live targets. Damn it! How could this be? Upon seeing the blood-sucking vines that suddenly appeared, the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows felt startled and furious, his expression changing dramatically. So. The hundreds of blood-sucking vines merged and formed an incredibly thick blood-sucking vine. It looked like a huge snake biting down. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows felt somewhat frightened. He quickly withdrew Black Lotus Demon Venerate's gigantic hand and smashed the blood-sucking vines flying over. At this moment, everyone was too busy to take care of themselves. The first thing Xiaochen thought of was to preserve his life. He was not in the mood to fight for the 5-element divine lightning. The 5-element divine lightning that lost its restraints and shackles started dancing wildly in the world. Young Lord, quickly land on the ground. Uncle Qin shouted when he saw the 1,000-odd blood-sucking vines besieging Bai Lishuan. Then he charged over. When the pale, middle-aged man landed on the flying dragon snake, his expression turned slightly unsightly. However, he did not make a move to stop the other party. He looked around and discovered that these blood-sucking vines were truly terrifying. They treated them as food, not wanting to let them leave. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The more experienced cultivators all wisely chose to land on the ground at the first instant. They were like live targets in the air, in danger of dying at any moment. In mere moments, 3 great perfection sovereign personage experts were caught off guard and turned into dried corpses by the blood-sucking vines. Since they were in the air, they simply could not dodge the numerous and endless blood-sucking vines. Whoosh! Before Bai Lishuan could land on the ground, the blood-sucking vines wrapped around his right foot. Then, with a ferocious tug, he tumbled in the air. Immediately, countless blood-sucking vines charged at Bai Lishuan like blood-sucking demons. Die! Bai Lishuan roared. With a wave of his hand, countless snake-shaped lightning bolts shot out. The lightning bolts blasted apart all the blood-sucking vines lunging at him. Kasi! At this moment, Uncle Qin broke the blood-sucking vines under Bai Lishuan's feet. In the time it took for a spark to fly, Bai Lishuan quickly landed. After landing, the blood-sucking vines could not sense their target. Although there were more blood-sucking vines in the surroundings, they were relatively safer. Young master, I'll bring you away. Given Uncle Qin's late-stage sovereign personage strength, he should be able to bring Bai Lishuan out. Bai Lishuan glanced at the 5-element divine lightning dancing in the air. Extreme dissatisfaction appeared in his eyes. I'm not leaving. This blood-sucking vines only came to consume the propping mulberry tree. When they finish consuming it, they will naturally leave. At that time, it will be time to snatch the 5-element divine lightning. Uncle Qin said somewhat worriedly, however, if they do not leave at that time and grow stronger, it will be difficult for this old man to bring you away. I will not feel satisfied if I don't take this gamble. Determination flashed in Bai Lishuan's eyes as he looked at the 5-element divine lightning dancing in the sky, filled with desire. In this dangerous situation, some people struggled with their lives, while others still held on to hope, wanting to continue working hard. My purple-striped thunder python. Yu Yuanliang and his companions stood on the purple-marked lightning python, their faces filled with pain. The purple-marked lightning python's enormous body was filled with the pain of losing its life. It was very difficult for Xiaochen to dodge the attacks of the blood-sucking vines. After the protective barrier broke, thousands of wounds soon appeared on his body. Blood dripped from his body, and his life force was being consumed at an extremely fast speed. Due to the purple-patterned boundless lightning, there were fewer blood-sucking vines around the two of them. Hence, the boundless lightning absorbed most of the blood-sucking vine's attention. A pained expression appeared on Yu Yuanliang's face. As if he had gone mad, he continuously slashed at the demonic dragon that was wrapped around the purple-patterned thunder python. However, it was to no avail. He could not prevent the purple-patterned thunder python from dying. Brother Yu, let's go. This is the best time to leave. Actually, his companion beside him looked worriedly at the endless blood vines in the surroundings. The blood-sucking vines had always been in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh. They were all cultivators' nightmares. Few of the cultivators that fell into the blood-sucking vine's control could leave alive. For tens of thousands of years, almost no one had ever seen its true form. The blood-sucking vines were like demons, growing in Thundercloud Ancient Marsh and turning into such a terrifying existence. Even if a divine vein realm cultivator came, they would find it hard to find the blood-sucking vine's true form and kill it. However, Yuanliang turned a deaf ear to the blood-sucking vines. It was like he could take revenge for the purple-patterned thunder python by doing so. His companion worried about Xiaochen's safety and could not bear to leave, so he could only stay. The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows and the pale, middle-aged man stood together. Cracks appeared on the Black Lotus demonic ancestor's Buddha image behind them. Its might was no longer as strong as before. This was the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows trump card, a secret technique that the Black Lotus sect venerate had passed to him when he was still alive. Now, only the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows and the Black Lotus Church venerate knew it. However, this blood-sucking vines, which the mysterious man had thought was in the bag, suddenly appeared and spoiled his plans. In terms of dissatisfaction, how could Bai Lishuan compare to the mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows? Damn it! The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows felt extreme hatred in his heart. However, he felt somewhat helpless. He was already at the end of his rope and did not have any trump cards left. "Mr. Gong, let's go." The pale, middle-aged man at the side sighed softly and said, "When the time comes, the world will help us. When the time comes, the hero will not be free. This is all fate." "Fate? You are talking to me about fate? I will never believe in fate." The mysterious man shrouded in bloody shadows seemed to recall some unbearable past. He glared at the pale, middle-aged man with a ferocious expression. A crazed look appeared in his eyes, not willing to give up. This glare startled the pale, middle-aged man. He took a few steps back and did not say anything more. Fortunately, the flying dragon snake was much stronger than the purple-patterned lightning python. Even if the two did not leave, they would not face any problems for now. Far away, Sang watched the blood-sucking vines slowly approach the broken propping mulberry tree from the demon blood vulture. He frowned heavily. Lightning-attributed flames still lingered around the propping mulberry tree. Furthermore, the horrifying energy pouring down endlessly from the skies slightly hindered the propping mulberry tree's advance. On the demon blood vulture that looked like a scarlet flame phoenix, the white-clad Xiaochen stood in the wind. His clothes and long hair fluttered as he looked into the distance. Then he said, "I understood a principle long ago. Indecisiveness leads to chaos. If you can let it go, then turn around and don't look back. If you cannot, then don't stand here." "What do you mean?" Sang demanded somewhat angrily as he turned his head to look at Xiaochen. Xiaochen retorted indifferently, "You don't understand? In that case, I'll be more direct. Either you charge over and fight a big battle with the blood-sucking vines or you scram. Don't stand here with an unresigned expression. You pretend to be relaxed and say that you can let it go. However, at the last moment, you still sacrifice yourself to block the 5-element divine lightning. What's the point of that? You think you are very noble? I feel that you are just trash without a mind of your own. You are indecisive, weak, and incompetent. Either you leave without any reluctance and come back another day to kill this blood-sucking vines. Or you die, charge over now. No matter what the result is, you will not have any regrets, dying without regrets." Sang felt stunned when he heard that. Then he looked at Xiaochen and tightly clenched his fists. He said sullenly, "What do you know? You know nothing. You have no idea how horrifying these blood-sucking vines are. It's useless. No matter how hard you work, it is useless. Today, the propping mulberry tree will die." Xiaochen retorted softly, "Who said that it is useless? If we can gather the 5-element divine lightning in the sky again, we will definitely be able to push back these blood-sucking vines." Sang looked at Xiaochen in shock. You can do it? If I don't work hard, who knows what the result will be? Even if I can't do it, so what? At the very least, I will do my best and not have any regrets. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.